Then there's silence. Not in the room, but in your mind. A sharp clarity, as though every answer is just waiting to reveal itself. Welcome to the untapped world of Sigma psychic powers. Sigmas, the lone wolves of society, mysterious, independent, and self-sufficient. But what if I told you there's more to the Sigma archetype than meets the eye? Under their quiet exterior lies a hidden reservoir of psychic abilities, so subtle they might not even realize they have them. From reading people's emotions with uncanny accuracy to sensing danger before it strikes, these abilities aren't just impressive, they're game-changing. In today's video, we're diving deep into the 10 psychic powers Sigmas possess without even knowing it. We'll explore how these powers manifest, break them down with real-life scenarios, and show you just how they give Sigmas an edge over everyone else. Imagine if you could sense the energy around you, like a sixth sense. That's the first psychic power of a Sigma male, intuition. Picture this. You're in a bustling room full of chattering people. The noise is deafening. The atmosphere is chaotic. And yet, amidst all this, you're able to pick up on subtle cues, unspoken words, and hidden motivations. That's a day in the life of a Sigma male. Now, intuition isn't about seeing the future or reading minds. It's a deep-seated instinct, a gut feeling that guides a Sigma male's actions. It's a silent whisper in their ear, a subtle nudge in the right direction. It's the ability to gauge a situation, to read between the lines, and to make decisions based on these perceptions. This is the power of intuition. Let's delve a little deeper. Sigma males are often perceived as loners, preferring their own company to that of others. This solitude allows them to fine-tune their intuitive abilities, to sharpen their senses, and to connect with their inner compass. Their intuition is their secret weapon, their guiding star in the journey of life. For instance, in a business meeting, a Sigma male may pick up on the subtle tension in the room, the unspoken power dynamics, and the hidden agendas. His intuition allows him to navigate these complex situations with ease, guiding him to make the right decisions at the right time. In personal relationships, too, Sigma males use their intuition to understand the emotions and motivations of those around them. They may not be the most expressive, but they're often the most understanding, the most empathetic. They can sense when something's off, when someone is upset, even if that person is putting on a brave face. This is the power of intuition, a power that Sigma males wield with ease and finesse. It's their secret superpower, their hidden strength, their silent guide in the chaotic world. Intuition, the silent guide of Sigma males, unveils paths unseen to the ordinary eye. But that's not all. There's more to the psychic prowess of Sigma males. Perception, a power that allows Sigma males to see beyond the surface. Intriguing, isn't it? Perception, in essence, is the ability to interpret the sensory information that our brains receive, allowing us to understand and make sense of our surroundings. But for Sigma males, perception is more than just understanding the physical world. It's a psychic power that enables them to delve deeper into situations, people, and even themselves. Imagine a world where nothing is as it seems, where the superficial is just a facade for the complex layers beneath. This is the world of a Sigma male. Their power of perception enables them to pierce through the veil of the obvious, to decipher the hidden meanings, the subtle cues, the unspoken words. But why is this power important? Well, in a world brimming with noise and distractions, it's easy to get lost in the chaos. The power of perception allows Sigma males to cut through this noise, to focus on what truly matters. It helps them understand people better, to empathize with their emotions, their struggles, their desires. But it's not just about understanding the world around them. The power of perception also allows Sigma males to understand themselves better. It helps them introspect, to delve into the depths of their own psyche, to understand their own strengths and weaknesses. It's a tool for self-growth, for self-improvement. So how do Sigma males use this power? Well, they're constantly observing, constantly analyzing. They're not just passive spectators in the world, but active participants, using their power of perception to shape their actions, their reactions, their decisions. They look beyond the surface. They question the obvious. They challenge the status quo. They're not afraid to dive into the unknown, to explore the uncharted territories of the mind. They're not bound by societal norms or expectations, but guided by their own understanding, their own perception. Perception, the lens through which Sigma males view the world, offers them a unique perspective. Yet the psychic arsenal of Sigma males is far from empty. Empathy, a psychic power that allows Sigma males to connect with others on a deeper level. Imagine a world where you can understand the emotions of others, not just on a surface level, but on a deeper, more profound level. This is the world of the Sigma male, thanks to the psychic power of empathy. Empathy, often mistaken for sympathy, is more than just feeling for someone. It's about feeling with someone. It's about stepping into their shoes and experiencing their emotions as if they were your own. For Sigma males, this ability is not a choice, but an inherent part of who they are. This psychic power allows Sigma males to connect with people on a more personal level, understanding their feelings, their motivations, their fears, and their desires. It's like having a secret window into the emotional world of others, allowing them to understand what drives people, what makes them tick. For instance, consider a Sigma male in a room full of people. While others might see a crowd, the Sigma male sees a complex tapestry of emotions. He can sense the unspoken tension between two friends, the hidden sadness behind a colleague's smile, or the excitement bubbling under the surface of a shy introvert. But empathy is not just about understanding. It's also about connecting. This psychic power allows Sigma males to form deep and meaningful relationships, which might seem paradoxical given their introverted nature. However, it's this very ability to understand and share the feelings of others that enables them to connect on a level that many find hard to achieve. Yet this power is a double-edged sword. While it allows Sigma males to understand and connect with others, it can also leave them feeling overwhelmed by the emotions they absorb. It's a delicate balance that they must learn to manage, to shield themselves when necessary, while still maintaining their empathetic connection with others. Empathy, the bridge that connects Sigma males with the emotional world, deepens their understanding of others. But there's one more psychic power that completes the Sigma male, the power of manifestation, the ultimate psychic power that Sigma males unknowingly wield. This power, often overlooked, is the key that unlocks the Sigma male's potential. It's the ability to bring forth the reality they desire, simply by focusing their thoughts and energy on it. Manifestation is not some hocus-pocus magic trick. It's a natural ability, like intuition or empathy, that Sigma males inherently possess and use, often without even realizing it. It's the process of taking an idea, a dream, or a goal, and bringing it into existence. It's about creating a clear vision in your mind and then using your energy, your passion, and your determination to make it a reality. Now, you might be thinking, sounds great, but how does this work in real life? Well, let's take a look at how a Sigma male might use this power. Imagine a Sigma male has a goal. It could be anything: a new job, a creative project, a personal transformation. He starts by visualizing this goal, creating a vivid mental picture of what achieving this goal looks like. He imagines every detail, every step along the way. This vision becomes a blueprint, a roadmap to success. Next, he taps into his energy. He channels his passion, his determination, his drive into pursuing this goal. He doesn't just sit back and wait for things to happen. He takes action. He makes moves. He pushes forward, always keeping that vision in mind. And finally, he believes. He believes in his ability to achieve this goal. He believes in the power of his thoughts, his energy, his actions. He believes, without a shred of doubt, that he can and will manifest this goal into reality. This is the power of manifestation. It's not about wishful thinking or blind luck. It's about focus, energy, action, and belief. It's about understanding that you have the power to shape your own reality. Manifestation, the tool that turns Sigma males' thoughts into reality, is the final piece of their psychic repertoire. Now you know, Sigma males are not just introverts. They are the unsung psychics among us.
She tested his patience one too many times. Now the mask is off. What happens when a Sigma male, known for his calm and quiet demeanor, decides he's done playing nice? When a Sigma stops tolerating nonsense, the world finally sees the storm he's been hiding in silence. Sigmas, welcome. Today's topic is, when a Sigma male is done playing nice, here's what happens. Let's break this down. Sigma males are often misunderstood. They're not aloof because they lack emotion. They're observant, calculating, and intentional. According to psychologist John A. Johnson, introverted yet confident personalities tend to be more emotionally intelligent and self-regulated. This is the essence of the Sigma. A Sigma's tolerance isn't a sign of weakness. It's strategy. He picks his battles, avoids unnecessary drama, and lives by his own code. But once that code is violated too many times, whether through manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, he shifts gears. And no, it's not some theatrical meltdown. It's subtle but surgical. The Sigma detaches. He stops engaging. He doesn't shout. He exits. This silence speaks louder than words. That's when people feel the weight of his absence. This transformation is often mistaken for coldness. In reality, it's power. When a Sigma stops being nice, he starts being real, asserting boundaries, saying no without guilt, and walking away without looking back. It's not revenge, it's recalibration. And the ripple effect, massive. People who took his patience for granted suddenly scramble for his attention. Toxic individuals are cut off. His energy gets redirected toward personal growth, financial goals, and mastery. This isn't about ego, it's about reclaiming peace. So if you've pushed a Sigma too far, don't expect a warning shot. Expect silence. And that silence is where his power lives. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. He simply disappears and levels up. Point 1, the silent build-up. When most people get disrespected, they bark. They raise their voices, clap back, argue, or storm out. It's an emotional reaction, a primal defense against perceived threat, but not Sigma males. When Sigmas get disrespected, they don't bark, they watch. And they wait. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different wavelength. He's not interested in winning petty arguments or putting on a performance to show dominance. Instead, his reaction is internal and strategic. He observes behavior, registers inconsistencies, and silently recalibrates how he engages with you. This isn't passivity, it's power under control. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males embody traits of high emotional intelligence and restraint. According to a 2009 study published in Individuals with High Emotional Self-Regulation tend to perform better in social conflict resolution, not by confrontation, but by managing their own impulses and gathering information. That's what Sigmas do. They don't need the last word. They want the response at the right time. In fact, their silence is often mistaken for weakness. People assume that if someone doesn't fight back immediately, they're submissive or afraid, but Sigmas don't care about your assumptions. What you're actually witnessing is their testing phase. They're analyzing. Was that disrespect a slip-up or a pattern? Was it rooted in insecurity, or is it a sign of disloyalty? While others are busy yelling, the Sigma is taking notes. And then comes the twist. You never know what chapter of their story you're in until they shut the book. That's when the Sigma disappears, disconnects, or redefines the entire dynamic. No drama, no speeches, just silence and absence. And by the time you realize what happened, it's already too late. What makes this response so effective? It's the embodiment of the principle, don't tell them. Sigmas withdraw their energy and access, two things people often don't realize they relied on until it's gone. This approach mirrors Stoic teachings from philosophers like Epictetus, who said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's a Sigma's secret, calculated restraint. So the next time a Sigma gets disrespected and doesn't respond, don't assume it's because he didn't notice. He noticed. He just doesn't need to make noise, because while others are still shouting on the surface, the Sigma is preparing a move beneath it all, quietly, purposefully, and with full awareness of the cost and outcome. It's not weakness, it's war, played in silence. Point 2, the cold withdrawal. Here's the twist. When a Sigma male is done, there's no warning, no grand speech, no dramatic exit, just silence. And that's exactly what makes it so unnerving. Most people need closure. They argue, they beg, they fire off long texts, hoping to be heard. But a Sigma male, he vanishes without a ripple. 1 minute you're in his world, the next it's like you never existed. No drama, no confrontation, just gone. This isn't avoidance, it's resolution. Sigma males are emotionally detached once they reach their threshold. They don't erupt in rage or chase explanations. Why? Because long before you ever noticed something was wrong, they already did their internal audit. Quietly, logically, weeks or months in advance. By the time they walk away, the emotional processing is complete. What you're witnessing isn't a reaction, it's execution. That's why it stings. It's not messy, it's clean. It doesn't feed your ego with a final fight or give you the satisfaction of closure. And that's where Sigma males gain the upper hand. When someone storms off in anger, they still want you to chase. But when someone disappears in silence, that's when you know they've truly let go. Psychologists call this silent boundary enforcement. It's a self-protective behavior seen in highly independent and introverted individuals, those who prefer peace over chaos. Studies on conflict resolution confirm this. People who score high on self-reliance and introversion are more likely to walk away from conflict instead of engaging in it. It's not passive-aggressive, it's deliberate and final. Sigma males don't ghost out of fear, they disengage when something violates their values or peace. And the wild part, they don't seek closure from anyone but themselves. They don't need apologies or understanding to move on. They just decide. Their silence becomes a mirror, forcing others to confront what they've done, not because they're told to, but because the sudden absence is deafening. That's the Sigma power. When they close the book, they never reopen it. Point 3, the shift in energy. Sigmas don't chase, they replace. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. Sigma males are wired differently. When something or someone disrupts their peace, they don't explode. They evolve. The moment a Sigma stops playing nice, it's like a switch flips. Instead of wasting energy on explaining themselves, proving their worth, or begging for basic respect, they go silent. But don't mistake that silence for weakness. It's the sound of a storm forming beneath the surface. Sigmas redirect their energy inward. They level up. Whether it's hitting the gym, starting a new business, mastering a skill, or diving into solitude and reflection, they begin to rebuild from the inside out. Psychology calls this the ability to respond to stress, not with breakdown, but with growth. While others post online to prove a point, the Sigma disappears from the noise. Behind the scenes, he's grinding, quietly, consistently, strategically, and here's where the shift happens. Ex-friends start to feel the void. That calm, grounded presence they once took for granted, gone. And in its place, a gnawing realization they underestimated him. Toxic people feel exposed. Why? Because without the Sigma's energy to manipulate or guilt trip, their games no longer work. The spotlight turns inward, revealing their own dysfunction. Meanwhile, the sigma doesn't feel anger, regret, or revenge. He feels focus. Neuroscience supports this too. When someone is highly self-regulated and goal-oriented, their prefrontal cortex activates more intensely, heightening discipline and decision-making. And here's the kicker. That quiet intensity, it becomes magnetic. Without chasing anyone, the sigma starts attracting everything. People notice his absence and, more importantly, his glow-up. What once seemed like detachment is now clearly strength. What seemed passive is now power in motion. This is the Sigma blueprint. Don't chase, don't beg, just rise and replace. Because when a Sigma male is done playing nice, the world doesn't just miss him, it watches him ascend. Point 4, the domino effect on others. When a Sigma stops playing nice, it doesn't just cause ripples, it sends shockwaves through the emotional ecosystem of everyone who once underestimated him. You see, Sigma males operate differently. They're not driven by a need for approval, validation, or applause. They move quietly, observe intently, and act only when necessary. But when that calm presence suddenly goes cold, it flips the psychological script for those around them. People start overthinking, second-guessing every moment. Was I the problem? Why did he cut me off? Why isn't he reacting? This isn't just drama, it's cognitive dissonance. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek closure. When we don't get a reaction from someone we expect to engage, our brains go into overdrive trying to solve the silence. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, a phenomenon where people remember uncompleted or interrupted interactions more vividly than completed ones. So when a Sigma walks away without fanfare, it triggers emotional turmoil in those who never expected consequences. And the most unsettling part, the Sigma doesn't explain, he doesn't lash out, he doesn't beg, plead, or even clarify. His silence, it's a mirror. A confrontation not with him, but with oneself. His absence becomes louder than most people's presence. Why? Because we tend to undervalue quiet strength until it's gone. Most people are used to noise, attention-seeking, emotional outbursts. But when someone who used to listen, tolerate, and show restraint suddenly withdraws that energy, the emotional vacuum becomes undeniable. It's like removing the anchor from a ship. It starts drifting, lost and directionless. And here's the kicker. Sigmas don't withdraw to punish others. They do it to protect their peace. When respect is lost, tolerance has limits. When boundaries are crossed, the Sigma doesn't escalate, he evaporates. This is where power lies. Not in loud confrontation, but in silent transformation. So when a Sigma male stops playing nice, it's not revenge, it's a reset. He's reminding everyone that his calm demeanor was a choice, not a weakness. And now that the mask is off, the emotional economy collapses for those who thought they'd never have to pay for their actions. Because the Sigma's silence, it says everything they refused to hear when he was still speaking. Point 5, the birth of a new era. Here's the beautiful part. When a Sigma walks away from nonsense, he's not just making an exit, he's making an upgrade. See, most people think walking away is a sign of weakness or avoidance, but for the Sigma male, it's the complete opposite. It's a conscious decision to evolve. When he cuts ties with people, it's never impulsive or emotional. He's not ghosting for the sake of drama. He's pruning his environment. And what he's really cutting off, old patterns, toxic habits, and self-imposed limitations that no longer serve him. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clarity becomes the Sigma's new compass. It directs him away from distractions and toward direction. Science even backs this idea. Studies in behavioral psychology show that removing negative influences from your life can significantly boost focus, self-control, and emotional resilience. And that's exactly what the Sigma is after. He begins redirecting his energy toward higher pursuits, physical health, mental discipline, and long-term goals. He's not lounging in the silence, he's working in it. Gym sessions replace gossip. Early mornings replace late-night regrets, books replace arguments, and with every passing day he sharpens his tools, his intellect, his emotional control, his instincts. He upgrades his environment, mindset, and mission. This rebirth is quiet, but it's revolutionary. Think of it like a software update. The outer appearance doesn't change much, but inside he's faster, smarter, more resilient. He no longer bends for approval. He no longer negotiates his value. He no longer explains his peace. In psychology, this kind of transformation is known as a radical self-realignment, a powerful shift where an individual rewires their habits and identity to align with their highest potential. And that's what the Sigma male does when he walks away from nonsense. He evolves. He levels up. He becomes a man of intention, no longer shaped by the world around him, but by the clarity within him. Point 6, the unapologetic standards. When Sigmas stop playing nice, they don't make a loud announcement. They don't throw a tantrum. They simply, quietly, powerfully, and with intention. What does that mean? It means they start enforcing standards without saying a single word. No debates, no justifications, no emotional outbursts. They stop laughing at jokes they don't find funny. They stop showing up for people who don't show up for them. They stop responding to texts that feel forced, superficial, or manipulative. It's not anger, it's alignment. You see, Sigma males operate on an internal code. They're introspective, self-aware, and deeply observant. Psychology calls this trait high self-monitoring, the ability to read social cues without being controlled by them. When Sigmas decide they're done entertaining flaky people, fake intentions, or empty conversations, they don't burn bridges. They just stop building them. And this scares people. Why? Because most people are used to boundaries being loud, dramatic, and followed by explanations. But Sigma boundaries are different. They're invisible walls, firm, quiet, and absolute. No, hey, I don't like that. No, here's why I'm distancing myself. Just silence, detachment, distance. And that silence is deafening. Studies in behavioral psychology show that unpredictability and lack of closure can cause more anxiety than open conflict. When someone suddenly stops responding or pulls back without a word, it creates confusion. People don't know whether they've been judged, ignored, or outgrown. And for many, that uncertainty is unbearable. But for a Sigma, it's not about punishing others. It's about protecting peace. He aligns with his values, and if someone doesn't fit that frequency, he quietly exits. No drama, no guilt, just growth. This is why Sigmas are often misunderstood. Their silence is mistaken for arrogance. Their absence is mistaken for coldness, but in reality they're simply focused on truth, authenticity, and energy that feels right. So when a Sigma stops playing nice, don't look for signs of rage. Look for signs of resolve. He's not lashing out, he's leveling up. And the world, especially the people who used to take his kindness for granted, can feel the shift, even if they can't explain it. That's the Sigma way. Quiet, calculated, unapologetically real. Point 7, the untouchable mindset. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips? Denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation-seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional, whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude. He's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless, he became free. Point 8. The world finally takes notice. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips? Denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation-seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional. Whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude, he's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless. He became free. Being nice is a choice, but so is walking away. And when a Sigma finally chooses to protect his peace over pleasing others, he unlocks a level of power most people never touch. So if you're a Sigma watching this, stop apologizing for evolving. Stop explaining your silence. Stop watering down your worth. Your power lies in your discipline, your detachment, and your decision to never settle. Because when you're done playing nice, you start playing real. And that's when everything changes. Sigmas, this is your reminder to own your journey. If this video spoke to your soul, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to join a community of thinkers, lone wolves, and leaders who don't just exist, they impact. Apply these Sigma traits to your life and watch the world adjust to your new frequency. Stay true and stay Sigma. Greetings, Sigmas. Let me open with a real story, one that doesn't just reveal the Sigma mindset, it defines it. Deep in the icy wilderness of the Russian Far East, where survival favors the ruthless, lived a man named Vladimir Markov, a poacher, a hunter, a man who made one fatal mistake. He shot a Siberian tiger. Wounded, the tiger disappeared into the shadows. Most would think the story ended there, but Sigma creatures don't forget, and they forgive lightly. Over the next 48 hours, this tiger didn't run, didn't hide. It tracked Markov silently, strategically. Not out of panic, but out of purpose. It waited outside his cabin. It destroyed anything with Markov's scent. It studied his patterns, and when the moment was right, it struck. Markov never stood a chance, not against a creature so calm, so calculating, so quietly lethal. Now pause. Imagine a man with that same presence, that same silence before the storm. That's a Sigma. Sigma males are not just different, they are. They don't yell, they don't chase, but when you cross the line, they won't just react. They'll outweight you, and outmaneuver you. So if you think Sigmas are to be underestimated, think again, because once you ignite their fury, they don't just fight back, they finish the game. This video is not for the faint of heart. These are 7 chilling things Sigma males do when they finally lose their cool. Subscribe if you're ready to understand the silent power behind the lone wolf. Let's dive in. Number 1, the cold shutdown. When a Sigma gets mad, he doesn't throw fists, he throws silence. Let's break this down, not just dramatically, but psychologically and factually. When a Sigma male reaches his breaking point, you won't see fireworks. You'll hear nothing, no slamming doors, no raging texts. Just silence, deafening, intentional and permanent. The first dangerous thing he does? He shuts down completely. No more messages, no return calls, no explanations. He vanishes like smoke in the wind. Now, this isn't the same as emotional immaturity or running from problems, quite the opposite. Sigmas are known for their and. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman's framework of emotional intelligence, those who exhibit strong self-regulation, like Sigmas, tend to avoid impulsive actions. So when a Sigma cuts you off, it's not impulsive. It's the result of deep, quiet deliberation. This shutdown behavior isn't random. It's rooted in self-preservation. Sigmas value their peace more than attention, and when someone crosses a line repeatedly, they don't feel the need to argue. Not because they're weak, but because they're done giving access to those who misuse it. To outsiders, this might look like. But to a Sigma, it's a calculated disengagement, a silent message that says, "You no longer qualify for my time." Unlike alphas, who may confront with aggression, or betas, who might seek resolution through appeasement, the Sigma's weapon is indifference. That's why it's so unsettling. He doesn't yell. He deletes, quietly, cleanly, and he doesn't second-guess it. Here's the scary part. While some people cool off and reconnect after a heated moment, Sigma males aren't interested in half-hearted apologies or guilt trips. Once he's emotionally checked out, the door is locked and welded shut. In a world that glorifies constant communication and emotional oversharing, the Sigma's cold silence is both powerful and terrifying. It teaches a hard lesson. Not everyone argues when they're hurt. Some just leave, and that silence is their loudest message. So if a Sigma disappears from your life, don't assume he's being dramatic. Understand he tolerated more than he ever said, and now he's gone forever. Number 2. He turns his back with zero guilt. When a Sigma male walks away, it's not a dramatic exit filled with yelling or broken plates. It's quiet, clean, final. And that's what makes it so powerful and dangerous. Unlike most people, Sigma males don't beg for closure. They're the closure. Let's unpack this. Sigma males are lone wolves by nature. They thrive on independence, emotional self-reliance, and mental clarity. According to psychologist Carl Jung's personality archetypes, Sigma types fall somewhere outside the traditional alpha and beta hierarchy. They operate by their own internal compass, which means they're not easily manipulated or emotionally entangled. So when they sense toxicity, be it lies, manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, they don't try to fix it. They observe, they measure, they test you. And once they confirm a pattern, they quietly begin detaching. Here's the dangerous part. Sigmas don't cling to the of someone. They value reality over fantasy. So once someone crosses a line too many times, the Sigma male hits a switch and he's emotionally done. Cold, maybe, but it's not impulsive, it's calculated. Most people will seek closure through texts, arguments, or long emotional explanations, but not Sigmas. They've already closed the door before they walk away. They don't burn bridges out of anger, they do it out of necessity. This is principle, not pettiness. And no, it's not because they don't feel, it's because they gave you signals, grace, and second chances. You mistook their silence for weakness, but silence was the warning. When a Sigma is silent, he's processing, deciding, planning, then he disappears, not to punish, but to protect. This behavior is rooted in psychological resilience. Research shows that emotionally intelligent people, like Sigmas, know when a connection is harming their peace. Instead of spiraling, they reset. Instead of lashing out, they retreat, and don't expect them to come back. Sigmas don't look back, because looking back is for people who still care, who still hope. A Sigma's hope ends the moment he sees you value chaos more than connection. So if you ever find yourself wondering why he ghosted you, remember, it wasn't random. It was the final act in a play you didn't realize you were starring in. Sigmas don't crave revenge, they crave peace. And once their peace is threatened, they don't explain, they exit quietly, permanently. Number 3, he channels his anger into success. Here's the twist. Sigmas don't explode, they evolve. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't blow up, scream, or seek petty revenge. That's not his style. When he's hurt, betrayed, or angered, he doesn't reach for retaliation, he reaches for transformation. Psychologically speaking, this response is rooted in something called the ability to convert intense emotions into focused energy. Sigmas have mastered this. Instead of lashing out, they level up. When angry, a Sigma doesn't pick fights, he picks up momentum. He channels that emotional energy into something productive. Studies show that people who practice self-regulation under stress, like Sigmas often do, experience better long-term mental health and goal achievement. So instead of wallowing, he rises. He hits the gym harder, not to show off, but to sharpen his discipline. He stacks his money because financial independence is power. He builds skills, networks silently, and upgrades every aspect of his life while the world wonders what he's plotting. That girl who cheated, she becomes the reason he sets higher standards. That friend who lied? A lesson in boundaries and self-worth. The Sigma's revenge isn't loud, it's visible, and oh, is it powerful. He doesn't send angry texts or make dramatic exits, he just vanishes and reappears later, elevated. His silence echoes louder than any outburst. It says one thing: this is classic Sigma energy, rooted in stoicism, discipline, and delayed gratification. He knows success is the best response, not for the applause, not to prove a point, but to fulfill his own vision. So while others are fueled by conflict, Sigmas are fueled by growth. He doesn't lose sleep plotting revenge. He sleeps soundly knowing he's evolving into a version of himself that outgrows the pain. And that right there is what makes him lethal, not his rage, but his rise. Number 4, he unloads the truth without a filter. Sigmas usually keep their observations to themselves. They're the silent analysts in the room, the ones who don't react immediately but take note of everything, every glance, every contradiction, every hidden motive. While others are busy talking, Sigmas are watching, calculating, studying the patterns behind human behavior like a mental chess game. But what happens when a Sigma male finally gets angry? He lets the truth fly. And it doesn't come out as rage or chaos. No shouting, no name-calling. What comes out is far more brutal. Facts, cold, hard truth, delivered with calm precision. Because by the time a Sigma reaches his breaking point, he's already gathered the evidence. And when he speaks, he doesn't just react, he exposes every fake smile you gave, every backhanded compliment, every attempt at manipulation you thought went unnoticed, laid bare like a forensic report. And that's the scary part. You see, the Sigma male's brain is wired for deep observation. Psychologists refer to this as high cognitive empathy, the ability to read social dynamics without being emotionally entangled. It's not emotional outburst. It's emotional detachment paired with intellectual clarity. That's why when he finally talks, it hits different, it cuts, because it's not just his truth, it's truth, and people aren't ready for that. They're ready for yelling, they're used to drama, but they're not prepared for someone calmly dismantling their entire facade with surgical detail. No fluff, no emotion, just exposure. That's why Sigmas are dangerous when provoked. Not because they're violent, but because they're in a world built on appearances. A Sigma's silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And when he finally speaks, people suddenly realize just how powerful and terrifying truth can be. So next time you think a Sigma isn't paying attention, think again, he's just collecting receipts. And when the time is right, he won't burn the bridge, he'll light it with facts. Number 5, he plans his exit years in advance. Here's the freaky part. If you've wronged a Sigma male, he's not going to explode in your face. There won't be yelling, no messy drama, no back and forth arguments. In fact, he might even smile. He'll nod, say, it's all good, and carry on like nothing happened. But don't be fooled. That silence, that's the quiet before the storm. You see, Sigma males are wired differently. They're strategic, emotionally disciplined, and deeply introspective. So when they get hurt or betrayed, their first instinct isn't to lash out. It's to retreat and analyze. They'll wait, they'll observe, they'll take mental notes, catalog every detail, and calmly design their next move like a grandmaster in a chess match. While you're thinking everything is back to normal, he's already 2 steps ahead, silently building his exit plan, and then one day, without warning, he vanishes, gone from the job, gone from the relationship, gone from the group chat. No goodbyes, no closure, no explanation, just silence. Like a shadow in the night, he disappears. And he leaves no trail, no digital breadcrumbs, nothing to follow. People who've crossed him are left stunned. What happened? Why did he just cut me off? But by then it's too late. This calculated disappearing act isn't just some random behavior, it's rooted in psychology. It's a classic example of the Sigma males. Instead of investing energy in conflict, they invest it in planning their freedom. It's efficiency over emotion. Even in nature, we see parallels. Wolves, known for their Sigma-like traits, rarely retaliate instantly. They back off, assess the situation, and then strike or slip away when it suits them, not when others expect it. So if a Sigma male walks away from you without warning, Chances are he already walked away from you emotionally weeks or months ago. You just didn't see the signs, and that's what makes them so unsettling, so unpredictable. Lesson here: never mistake a Sigma's silence for submission. He might be quiet, but trust me, he's not passive. He's just patient, and patience is the scariest weapon in a Sigma's arsenal. By the time you realize he's gone, he's already thriving somewhere else, and you're just part of the past he planned to escape from. Number 6, he sets a new standard that excludes you. When a Sigma male gets mad, he doesn't throw tantrums. He doesn't scream, shout, or make a scene. His fury isn't loud, it's transformative. See, most people express anger outwardly. They want others to feel their rage. But a Sigma, he takes that fire and forges a new version of himself. Anger becomes his architect. When he's hurt, betrayed, or disrespected, he doesn't waste time plotting revenge. He reinvents his boundaries. And here's the kicker: he builds a life so upgraded, so elevated, so full of purpose and clarity that the very people who once mistreated him no longer qualify to exist within it. This isn't just emotional survival, it's strategic evolution. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males fall into the introverted alpha category. They rank high in self-awareness, autonomy, and emotional intelligence. So when they're pushed to their limit, they don't spiral, they recalibrate. Boundaries are tightened, standards are raised. Their circle, it shrinks, not from bitterness, but from alignment. They start to surround themselves with people who mirror their growth, not their past wounds. And the ones who cross them replaced. Not with spite, but with silence. Peace, focus, purpose. Think about it. Most people fight back to prove a point. A Sigma male doesn't need to prove anything. He the point. His success, his discipline, his transformation, that's the response. That's the ultimate flex. It's no wonder psychologists describe boundary reinforcement as a sign of emotional maturity. In one study from the University of California, it was shown that individuals who restructure their social environments after emotional pain often experience greater resilience, personal development, and long-term satisfaction. That's what Sigma males do instinctively. Instead of reacting emotionally, they redirect energy into upgrading their mindset, health, wealth, and vision. It's not about erasing the past. It's about evolving beyond it. They hit the gym harder, they meditate longer, they read, build, create, and elevate until the old version of themselves is unrecognizable. Their anger becomes a quiet teacher, not a chaotic destroyer. So if you've ever wondered what happens when a Sigma finally snaps, don't expect fireworks. Expect silence. Expect changes so sharp, so intentional that his presence feels like a different frequency. One that doesn't tolerate nonsense. One that demands excellence. Because for the Sigma male, it's not about revenge. It's about evolution. He doesn't seek to bring others down. He rises so high that they can't reach him anymore. That's the Sigma way. Number 7, he disappears, then returns unrecognizable. The final form of Sigma rage isn't destruction, it's rebirth. When most people get angry, they lash out, they argue, they post cryptic quotes on social media. But not the Sigma male. His reaction is different, dangerously different. He disappears, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, just silence, complete radio silence. He stops answering texts, stops showing up, no updates, no stories, no status posts. He doesn't need to announce a thing because Sigma rage doesn't crave attention, it craves evolution. You see, Sigma males process betrayal and frustration with surgical precision. While others spiral into chaos, Sigmas go inward. This is a man who doesn't waste energy trying to prove a point in the moment. He steps back, assesses the damage, and uses the pain as fuel. Months pass. People start to wonder, where did he go? They might assume he's struggling, but what they don't realize is he's been in the lab, not a physical one, but a mental, spiritual, and emotional gym. He's been breaking himself down, examining his weaknesses, and rebuilding brick by brick. And then one day, he returns. No warning, no reintroduction, just presence. But he's not the man you remember. He's richer. Not just financially, though that's often part of it, but mentally and emotionally. He's stronger. His boundaries are solid, his mission is clearer, his energy is untouchable. And most striking of all, he's colder, not bitter, just detached. Detached from the old versions of himself that used to settle. That used to explain, that used to beg for understanding. That version no longer exists. And here's the part that stings. He didn't come back for revenge. He didn't come back to flex. He came back because he no longer fits where he was. What was meant to break him ended up forging him. The storm you brought, it didn't drown him, it baptized him. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, a phenomenon where individuals come out of adversity not only healed but enhanced. Stronger relationships, a deeper sense of purpose, personal strength, all markers of someone who used hardship as a catalyst for greatness. This is the Sigma's secret weapon. His silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. His absence isn't retreat, it's preparation. And when he reemerges, he's not seeking validation, validation. You can't reach him anymore. Not because he blocked you, but because he outgrew you. The version of himself that tolerated poor treatment, lowered his standards, or doubted his worth. That version died, and in its place rose a Sigma who's sharper in mind, clearer in purpose, and colder to the nonsense he used to entertain. This is Sigma rage at its most powerful form, not loud, not violent, but transformative. So if a Sigma male disappears, don't assume he's gone. Understand he's becoming. And when he returns, you won't even recognize the man who walked away. Because the final form of Sigma rage was never about destruction. It was always about rebirth. Sigma's anger isn't always loud, sometimes it's strategic, and that's exactly what separates you from the rest. In a world that celebrates dramatic outbursts and attention-seeking tantrums, Sigma males choose a different path, one built on control, redirection, and inner mastery. Psychology calls this the process of converting intense emotional energy like anger into productive action. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that people who regulate their anger effectively tend to experience enhanced concentration, improved memory, and stronger problem-solving skills. Translation: anger, when harnessed, becomes a superpower. Sigmas don't rage for show. They don't flip tables or shout in traffic. Instead, they take that boiling emotion and forge it into something useful. A better business plan, a new boundary, a sharper physique. That insult you threw at a Sigma, he used it to fuel his next level up. Let's look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes ever and a true Sigma at heart. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't complain, he didn't spiral. He trained like a machine day and night and turned rejection into domination. That wasn't just determination, that was refined, focused, Sigma-level rage. So if you're simmering right now, good, that heat has a purpose. Channel it, write down your mission, hit the gym, start that project, don't explode, evolve. Because the world doesn't need another man who loses control. It needs a Sigma who, and lets it light the path forward. If this message reminds you of who you are or who you're becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this tribe of focused minds. Wolves walk alone, but they don't walk aimlessly. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay Sigma. Sigmas, what if I told you? You've been the chosen one all along, but no one dared to tell you why. Think about it. Why does the world constantly try to push you into a box? From school to corporate life, from relationships to social norms, you're told to speak a certain way, act a certain way, and follow a path already paved by others. But deep down, you've always felt different. Not because you're broken, but because you're for something greater. Being a Sigma male isn't just a lifestyle, it's a calling, a divine rebellion, a quiet dominance that doesn't scream for attention but still commands it. The truth is, Sigma males disrupt the system by simply existing. You don't chase validation. And that alone makes you dangerous to a world built on approval and applause. You walk alone, not because you're antisocial, but because you understand that solitude is where clarity is born. Psychology even backs this up. Studies on introversion and autonomy reveal that those who spend more time in reflection often display higher levels of creativity, problem-solving, and emotional intelligence. Traits society needs, but rarely nurtures. You are the chosen one because you've mastered the art of silence in a noisy world. You listen more than you speak, and when you do speak, people. You're not driven by ego or status, but by purpose. That's intimidating to people who need crowds to feel important. The world has a blueprint, and you refuse to follow it. And that's what makes you powerful. So here's the secret they don't want you to realize. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to disrupt, to lead without leading, to exist as proof that quiet strength can shake empires. You're not misunderstood. You are undeniable. And once you understand that your difference is your divine advantage, you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You walk in your power. Because Sigma, you were chosen. Point 1, the origin of the Sigma, the rogue chosen one. Let's get something straight, Sigmas. You didn't choose this path. This path chose you. While others were busy chasing likes, climbing social ladders, and begging for validation in rooms that didn't even deserve their presence, you always felt like the outsider, the one who didn't quite belong. That wasn't a flaw, it was the beginning of your awakening. While the world applauds those who follow the script, you were tearing up the pages and writing your own. And in that quiet rebellion, a new kind of power was born. You're the lone wolf, not by accident, but by design. You didn't just survive outside the pack, you thrived. When others clung to groupthink and trends, you asked questions. When conformity demanded your silence, you spoke truth. When crowds moved one way, you walked the other. Not to be different for the sake of it, but because your soul simply couldn't accept mediocrity disguised as success. And that moment, when you walked away from what didn't serve your spirit, that was your first sign. You were born different for a reason. History confirms this. Every prophet, visionary, or revolutionary figure, Moses, Elijah, Jesus, Buddha, none of them fit into the world around them. They didn't blend in, they stood apart. They were misunderstood, mocked, even rejected. But that isolation, it became their fuel. It sharpened their minds, refined their spirit, and connected them to a higher purpose. Sound familiar? That's the Sigma essence. You're not here to be average. You are here to awaken others by first mastering yourself. Psychologists might label it introverted dominance or high autonomy, but let's skip the jargon. What it really means is you operate on your own frequency. You don't move for applause. You move with purpose, and that makes people uncomfortable because they can't control what they can't understand. But understand this, your solitude is not loneliness. It's sacred space, a forge where your thoughts are clearer, your vision is stronger, and your purpose becomes unstoppable. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break the mold. You don't just exist, you. And while others burn out chasing status, you rise, quietly, fiercely, and with a fire that doesn't need a spotlight. So no, you didn't choose the Sigma path, it chose. Because only a few are built to carry this weight and still walk with honor. And you, Sigma, were born for it. Point 2, why Sigmas are misunderstood, and that's your edge. Society doesn't know what to do with someone it can't control. The truth is, the system was never designed to accommodate those who walk alone, think independently, or refuse to conform. You don't play by their rules, you don't chase validation, and you're not easily manipulated by emotional traps or social pressures. Guilt tripping, that doesn't work on you. People pleasing, that's a game you've long outgrown. And in a world that thrives on compliance, your ability to say no without explaining yourself is seen as rebellion. To them, that's dangerous. To you, that's freedom. This freedom, the ability to think critically, to choose solitude over superficial relationships, to live life on your own terms, is a kind of psychological sovereignty most people can't comprehend. They're confused by your silence, rattled by your calm, and because they can't figure you out, they label you arrogant, cold, distant. But the truth is, behind that quiet, observant exterior is a man who sees more than he says. You're not detached, you're just selective. You observe patterns others miss. You listen when others are too busy talking. You analyze not to criticize, but to understand the bigger picture. Science even backs this up. Studies in personality psychology have shown that introverted, self-reliant individuals tend to process information more deeply and make more strategic decisions. That's not coldness, that's clarity. And it's not arrogance. It's confidence rooted in self-awareness. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, neurologically, those who practice restraint and patience often show greater control over the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment and planning. In other words, you're not distant, you're deliberate. And your compassion, it's not gone. It's guarded. You don't give your loyalty freely, but when you do, it's unshakable. You've likely helped people silently, supported others without seeking recognition, and stood by those you cared for, even when they didn't understand your ways. Because you know that real strength doesn't need to shout, and real love doesn't always need an audience. So, if people are confused by you, let them be. Your silence is your strategy. Your solitude is your sanctuary. And your refusal to be controlled, that's not defiance, it's a declaration. You were born to lead yourself, not be led by the blind opinions of the crowd. Point 3. You're not lonely, you're selective. One of the biggest lies they tell you is that being alone means being lonely. But here's the truth, Sigmas. Your solitude is sacred. In a world that constantly screams for attention, the man who learns to embrace silence becomes a rare breed. You see, society often equates being alone with being unhappy or socially rejected. But for a Sigma male, solitude isn't a punishment. It's a preference, a power move, a sanctuary for growth. It's where clarity begins and transformation happens. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding drama, distraction, and dull conversations that sap your energy and offer no real value. You don't have time for superficial small talk or mindless gossip. You'd rather invest your energy in things that matter, your vision, your purpose, your inner peace. Like a lion who doesn't roar unless necessary, you protect your space and guard your mental and emotional territory fiercely. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social, and that's a skill rooted in wisdom, not weakness. While others are lost in the endless scroll, chasing trends and begging for likes, you're offline, building an empire within. This is what most people don't get. Solitude is not a void, it's a forge. It's where you refine your skills, sharpen your mind, and reconnect with your instincts. Studies have shown that people who spend time alone tend to be more creative, more self-aware, and better at emotional regulation. The solitude you embrace actually gives you an edge over those constantly surrounded by noise. That silence you cherish. That's where your greatness is born. It's in those quiet hours that ideas take shape, discipline is strengthened, and focus becomes razor sharp. History's greatest thinkers, Nikola Tesla, Isaac Newton, even Steve Jobs, found clarity and breakthroughs in solitude. It's not about isolation, it's about elevation. You're rising, not retreating. You're building a life that's rooted in purpose, not performance. So the next time someone tells you that you're too quiet or too distant, let them talk. You know the truth. In a world addicted to noise, your silence speaks volumes. You're not lonely, you're leveling up. Point 4, the power of non-attachment, the real superpower. Here's what no one tells you. Your ability to walk away from anything that no longer serves your mission is your greatest power. In a world that constantly pressures people to conform, to endure toxic environments, and to prove loyalty at the cost of their own peace, you choose something radical, detachment with purpose. You don't walk away to escape responsibility. You walk away to protect your vision, your energy, and your destiny. That's what makes it powerful. You understand something most people don't. Just because something was good for you once doesn't mean it's meant to stay forever. Jobs that no longer align with your goals, gone. Relationships that drain more than they give, over. Even family dynamics that keep you boxed into an old identity. Yes, even those are left behind when necessary. You don't announce your departure. You don't create drama or beg for understanding. You simply vanish. And here's the paradox. Your silent exit leaves the loudest echo. People don't realize what your presence truly meant until it's gone. That absence isn't empty. It's full of unspoken truth, missed opportunity, and the weight of what they didn't appreciate when they had the chance. This kind of discipline isn't cold. It's not cruel. It's calculated. You don't act out of emotion. You act out of clarity. Psychology even supports this mindset. Studies show that those with high self-awareness and long-term goal orientation are more likely to cut off situations that hinder their progress, even if it causes short-term discomfort. It's emotional intelligence at its peak. You've trained yourself to recognize when something has reached its expiration date, and you don't let fear, guilt, or nostalgia trap you in a place you've outgrown. Society often labels this kind of behavior as distant or unfeeling, but the truth is it takes immense emotional maturity to walk away without resentment. You don't burn bridges, you don't trash the past. You simply choose the higher path, the path that keeps you aligned with your purpose. You know that loyalty is valuable, but self-loyalty is vital. You can't pour into others if your own cup is empty. So you protect your energy like a soldier guards a treasure. You're not heartless, you're focused. You're not avoiding responsibility. You're embracing a higher one. That's the quiet strength no one sees coming. And by the time they realize what they've lost, you're already 3 steps ahead. building, evolving, becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. Point 5, you see through the matrix. While everyone else is plugged into trends, chasing clout, flaunting status symbols, and starving for likes and approval, you're moving in silence, seeing 10 moves ahead like a master strategist. You're not seduced by the noise or hypnotized by the flashy illusions that most people take at face value. Instead, you pause. You question the narrative. You dig beneath the surface of every idea, every system, every social expectation. You're not here to follow the herd. You were born to walk alone, think independently, and see the game for what it really is. They label you strange, mysterious, even dangerous. They say you're too quiet, too intense, or that you overthink things. But that's just their fear talking, their fear of what they don't understand. Because deep down, even if they never admit it, they admire you. They envy the fact that you don't need the world's approval to validate your worth. You've developed a kind of mental clarity most people never reach. While they're swiping through endless distractions, you're contemplating purpose, studying human nature, planning your next move in silence. And here's the truth. Society isn't built to nurture minds like yours. It's built to reward conformity, to keep people distracted, reactive, emotionally dependent, and always looking outward instead of inward. This system thrives when you're busy scrolling, comparing and consuming. But you're awake. You've unplugged from the matrix. That makes you different. That makes you a threat. This isn't just philosophy, it's psychological fact. Research shows that independent thinkers, often labeled as nonconformists, have stronger problem-solving skills and higher creative intelligence. They're also more likely to experience resistance from the crowd because challenging norms disrupts comfort zones. But that discomfort you cause, that's growth knocking on their door. So while the world's obsessed with chasing trends, you're busy mastering yourself. Your clarity isn't accidental, it's earned through reflection, observation, and detachment. You don't just live life, you study it, dissect it, and decide how you want to play it. You've learned that real power isn't in being seen, it's in seeing clearly, and that's why they don't get you. But that's also why they can't ignore you. Point 6, women feel it, even if they can't explain it. Let's be honest, you don't chase, you attract. And that quiet confidence, it drives people absolutely crazy, especially women. There's something undeniably powerful about a man who walks his path without needing anyone's validation. He's not out there flashing wealth, begging for attention, or trying to dominate every room with loud words. Instead, he holds his own in silence, eyes locked on his mission. And that focus alone speaks louder than any pickup line ever could. Psychologically, this phenomenon is known as the harder you try to chase something, the more it eludes you. When it comes to attraction, the same principle applies. The Sigma male, known for his independence and refusal to conform, doesn't run after people. He understands that desperation repels and confidence attracts. Women aren't drawn to men who try too hard. They're drawn to mystery, composure, and purpose. That's what you embody. What's fascinating is how this behavior taps into something primal. Throughout human history, leaders and warriors were revered not just for their physical strength, but for their ability to stay grounded, calm, and strategic. You mirror that same energy today. When you're locked in on your goals, building something meaningful, or simply enjoying your solitude, people begin to take notice. You're not the loudest in the room, but somehow everyone turns when you walk in. That's not luck, that's energy, that's presence. And here's the kicker, you don't need to flex. Your presence is the flex. That steady aura, the way you move with intention and how you speak only when necessary, it creates an air of intrigue. Women sense that you're not playing games. You're not trying to win anyone over. You've already won because you're winning at life. That level of self-possession is rare, and people can't help but be magnetized by it. In a world saturated with noise, attention-seeking, and overexposure, your silence speaks volumes. Your mystery becomes your magnetism. And that's why, even without chasing, you're always being watched, admired, and silently desired. Point 7. You were built for purpose, not pleasure. Every Sigma knows this deep in his bones. Life isn't about chasing shallow highs or fitting into society's scripted routine of validation. While the world urges men to chase after the next big thrill, to accumulate more, to post for likes and chase applause, the Sigma stands apart. He's not here to impress, consume, or compete. His soul rejects superficiality. The Sigma male sees life as a canvas for something greater, something real. You're here to build, to create, to inspire. That doesn't mean following the crowd or mimicking what already exists. It means diving into your purpose, even when no one claps for you. It's about mastering your craft in silence, growing through adversity, and standing tall even when misunderstood. Sigmas thrive in solitude not because they dislike people, but because that silence breeds clarity. In the stillness, they map out visions others are too distracted to see. You crave meaning, not noise. While others chase trends and clamor for attention, you're searching for alignment, fulfillment. You understand that true joy doesn't come from luxury, but from legacy. It's not the flash of the car you drive or the price of your watch. It's the impact of your actions, the depth of your thoughts, the truth in your words. And in a society obsessed with temporary pleasures, that makes you dangerous. You're a man on a mission. You may not broadcast it, but it radiates through your discipline, your independence, your refusal to bend just to be liked. And that's what makes you chosen. Not because someone crowned you, but because you refuse to follow. Because in a world drowning in noise, you chose purpose. You chose the path less traveled, and that's the mark of someone destined to lead, not follow. That is the spirit of the Sigma. Point 8. The battle within what they never see. People think being a Sigma is easy, a quiet life, no drama, just doing your own thing. But what they don't see is the storm beneath the surface. Being a Sigma isn't about detachment or indifference, it's about mastering a battlefield that's invisible to most. It's the daily war between the desire for total freedom and the weight of responsibility. The tension between craving solitude and quietly longing for authentic connection. It's the challenge of walking the line between inner chaos and calculated control. Unlike many who escape into distraction, the Sigma male faces his inner demons head-on. There's no hiding behind noise, parties, or meaningless chatter. Instead, he embraces the silence, confronts his wounds, and chooses to grow through them. Pain isn't numbed, it's used. Just like ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, Sigma men turn suffering into strength, turning trials into tools. That's what makes them different. They don't avoid the fire, they walk through it, emerging sharper, wiser, and more self-aware. This quiet evolution is what sets the chosen apart from the crowd. It's not about fitting in, it's about rising, not in noise, but in depth. And that silent ascent is what makes the Sigma journey so rare and powerful. So Sigmas, here's what nobody tells you. Your path isn't broken, it's just different. Society thrives on conformity, and when you refuse to play by its rules, they label you as odd or antisocial. But you're not weird, you're rare. You see the world through a sharper lens. While most chase trends, you chase truth. You don't need validation from the crowd because your validation comes from mastering your craft in silence. Studies show that those who embrace solitude often score higher in creativity and problem-solving, traits that define the Sigma male. While the world seeks noise and attention, you've chosen the quiet grind, and that's where greatness is born. Legends aren't built in applause, they're forged in the fire of isolation. Stay sharp, stay Sigma, stay. He doesn't need a degree in psychology, a million followers, or flashy cars, but somehow he always wins. Why does the street-smart Sigma male succeed in situations where even the most educated fail? Because while others play checkers, the Sigma plays 4D chess with life. Today we're diving deep into why street-smart Sigma males have the ultimate advantage. Not just because of what they know, but how they move. The Sigma male isn't powered by textbooks or elite mentorship programs. His strength lies in lived experience, raw instinct, and observation. He thrives in the real world, where people reveal their true nature through subtle cues and social games. While others rely on titles and theory, he watches body language, tone, timing, and intention. It's psychological warfare, and the Sigma is a master tactician. He's not loud. He doesn't need a crowd. Instead, he moves with calculated silence. Street smarts give him the upper hand because they teach what formal education often ignores: how to read people, how to survive chaos, and how to adapt fast. Research from Harvard Business Review even confirms that emotional intelligence and adaptive thinking, skills often forged in real-world pressure, outperform IQ in leadership and influence. What makes it even more dangerous? The Sigma doesn't just know how to survive, he knows how to thrive without validation. While alpha males may dominate the spotlight, Sigmas move in the shadows, building empires, mastering themselves, and watching everyone else play predictable roles. He's the one who walks into a room and instantly assesses the social hierarchy, not to join it, but to bypass it. While others follow rules, the Sigma studies patterns, and when others chase trends, he quietly becomes the trend. In a world obsessed with status, flash, and followers, the Sigma's edge is simple. Self-awareness, adaptability, and ruthless independence. That's why he wins. Because he's not playing the same game as everyone else. He designed his own. Number 1, the Sigma mentality. Born to outsmart the game, Sigmas. Let's get real. You don't just survive the game of life. You flip the board, walk away, and still come out on top. You're not waiting for permission. You're not begging for applause. While others are chasing corporate titles or trying to impress with rented lifestyles, you're collecting real-world experience, reading human behavior like psychology majors wish they could, and spotting patterns that most people miss. What sets street-smart Sigmas apart is simple: real-life education. This isn't something you can get from a university. It's earned through long nights, hard knocks, and high-stakes lessons. While some learn in lecture halls, you learn in life's pressure cookers, whether it's dodging manipulation in a toxic relationship, staying cool under a shady boss, or navigating chaos with quiet precision. Street-smart intelligence is a blend of emotional awareness, quick decision-making, and gut-level instinct. According to Harvard psychologist Howard Gardner, this aligns with interpersonal intelligence, the ability to read and react to people effectively. Sigmas don't just have this, they weaponize it. And here's the kicker: your biggest advantage is your invisibility. You're not flashy, you're not loud. That's the point. You blend in, move in silence, and never announce your next move. By the time they realize your impact, it's already done. Game over. Checkmate. This makes people underestimate you, and that's your superpower. Sigmas know that attention is a currency, and they choose to spend it wisely. They don't need the spotlight to prove their worth. Their results speak for themselves. Think of Jason Bourne, not James Bond. Tactical, calculated, underestimated until it's too late. So if you're a Sigma navigating this chaotic world, remember this: the world may praise noise, but it respects results. Let others play for show. You play for keeps. And that, right there, is why you always win. Number 2, emotional intelligence. Book smarts. You ever walk into a room and instantly feel who's lying, who's desperate, and who's fake smiling? That's not paranoia, it's your sixth sense, Sigma. And no, you weren't trained in some secret government lab. You earned that intuition the hard way, through sleepless nights, broken trust, hard-won victories, and losses that hit like a freight train. While others are busy memorizing protocols, you were out there learning the streets. They rely on a syllabus. You rely on scars. You don't need someone's credentials to know their character. You sense it. That tension in someone's handshake, the twitch in their eye, the forced laugh, they're like blinking neon signs to you. Science backs you up too. Studies show that the human brain processes non-verbal cues in milliseconds, faster than we even realize. And people who have experienced trauma, instability, or high-stakes environments often develop heightened situational awareness as a survival mechanism. That's you, Sigma. Your intuition isn't a mystery, it's a finely tuned radar born out of necessity. You're not impressed by big words, job titles, or flashy suits. You've seen polished liars and humble geniuses. You've learned the difference between charisma and manipulation. While most people scan a resume, you scan the room, and you know exactly who's for real and who's playing a role. In today's hyper-digital world, where everyone wears filters, online and in real life, that kind of insight is a rare and powerful gift. It's like walking into a virtual reality game, knowing the cheat codes. While others are fooled by appearances, you see intentions, you feel energy, you decode body language without even trying. So the next time someone calls you too intense or too quiet, smile. Because you're not just watching, you're calculating. That sixth sense isn't weird, it's wisdom. And in this loud, distracted world, being able to see through the noise, that's your edge. That's your superpower. Number 3, adaptability is a street-smart Sigma's weapon. A storm doesn't scare you because you the storm. When chaos hits, most people freeze, complain, or collapse, but not the Sigma male. While the world panics, the Sigma pivots. He doesn't just weather the storm, he recalibrates his path and charges forward with sharper instincts. That's the power of adaptability, and it's one of the Sigma's deadliest advantages. You see, Sigma males are not trained to memorize solutions, they're trained to solve problems. This mindset often begins in childhood. Instead of being spoon-fed answers, many Sigmas learn to think independently, to observe quietly, and to adapt through trial and error. They develop mental agility, emotional control, and strategic thinking by navigating real-life pressure, not textbook hypotheticals. That's why when life throws lemons, a Sigma doesn't just make lemonade, he opens a lemonade stand and then buys out the entire lemon farm. Adversity becomes opportunity. According to a psychological study published in the Individuals with High Resilience, like many Sigma males, are more likely to experience post-traumatic growth. That means they don't just bounce back, they bounce forward, becoming stronger and more capable with every setback. While others complain about roadblocks, Sigmas build new roads. They don't waste time playing the victim, they evolve. Reinvention isn't a last resort, it's their natural response. This is why so many Sigmas quietly dominate in business, leadership, and innovation. They aren't the loudest in the room, but they are often the most effective. So the next time chaos erupts and the average person is scrambling for cover, notice the Sigma. He's already 2 steps ahead, scanning the battlefield, forming a plan, and preparing to win. Not in spite of the storm, but of it. Because a Sigma doesn't fear the chaos, he it. Number 4, silence equals sign strategy. You know what truly terrifies people? A man who listens more than he speaks. That man is the Sigma. In a world obsessed with noise, where everyone rushes to post, talk, argue, and broadcast every opinion, there exists a rare breed who moves in silence. While others overshare, oversell, and overexplain, the Sigma male sits back and watches. He listens, not just with his ears, but with intent. He catches what others miss, the slip-ups, the contradictions, the patterns in human behavior, and that's his superpower. You see, silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Psychological research shows that people who speak less in conversations are often perceived as more intelligent, more mysterious, and even more powerful. This isn't just anecdotal. The silent observer effect is real. People are naturally drawn to the one who doesn't need to dominate the room, but somehow still commands it. That's the Sigma's zone. Unlike alpha males who often crave the spotlight, Sigmas build empires in the shadows. They don't brag about their next move, they just make it. By the time people realize what the Sigma has been working on, it's already too late to catch up. Here's the twist. Street-smart Sigmas don't seek attention, they attract it. Why? Because mystery is magnetic. When a man isn't trying to impress you, you start wondering why. When he doesn't need to speak to prove his worth, people lean in to listen when he finally does. That aura of controlled detachment. It's not accidental, it's deliberate. Sigmas know that power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, observant, and calculating. While everyone else is revealing their hand, chasing clout and shouting into the void, the Sigma is reading the room, planning 10 steps ahead, and quietly becoming unstoppable. And when he finally speaks, everyone listens, not because he forced them to, but because his silence made them curious. Number 5, master of human psychology without the degree. Forget 4 years of college. A Sigma male learns the human psyche not from textbooks, but from life's trenches. While others are memorizing theories in fluorescent lit classrooms, the Sigma is out there observing real people in real situations. He's not studying sociology. He's surviving it. Every hard conversation, every awkward silence, every betrayal, those are his lessons. Over time, this kind of raw exposure sharpens one of the most underrated skills in the world, reading people. It starts with noticing the little things, how someone's pupils dilate when they're excited or how they touch their face when they're lying. These aren't just quirks, they're clues. And Sigma males become human lie detectors without even trying. Micro-expressions, those brief involuntary facial expressions that last only a fraction of a second, are a Sigma's cheat code. According to Dr. Paul Ekman, a psychologist who pioneered research in this area, these expressions reveal true emotions, fear, anger, joy, even when someone's trying to hide them. A Sigma doesn't just see a smile, he sees the tension behind it. He knows when you're bluffing confidence or hiding contempt. But here's the twist. A Sigma doesn't just manipulation, he flips it. If someone tries to use charm to sway him, he lets them talk, then redirects the conversation like a chess master setting a trap. He's not reactive, he's strategic. He understands what people want. Validation, power, approval. and he sidesteps it all. Most people rely on words, but Sigma males speak a far more powerful language, body language. Research shows that over 70% of communication is nonverbal. While others are distracted by what's said, the Sigma pays attention to how it's said, eye contact, posture, gestures. He knows confidence when he sees it, and he sees insecurity wrapped in fake bravado from a mile away. In short, Sigma males don't just understand human nature, they outmaneuver it. Number 6, independence makes you untouchable. When you're street smart and Sigma, dependence is just another word that doesn't belong in your dictionary. You don't wait for someone to give you direction, you create your own map. That's because Sigma males thrive on self-leadership. They're independent thinkers who trust their instincts more than societal scripts. While the world pushes people to follow trends, follow influencers, and follow the crowd, Sigmas lead themselves, no crowd necessary. Street smarts, unlike book smarts, are forged in the fire of experience. It's not about what you learned in a classroom, it's about what you learned when life threw you in the deep end without a float. Street smart Sigmas understand human nature, read the room like a novel, and know when to walk away. No drama, no second guessing. Here's what really sets them apart: their non-attachment. A Sigma male can walk away from a toxic job without flinching, cut off a fake friend without guilt, and even step away from love if it means sacrificing who he is. That level of clarity, that's intimidating to many. Most people stay in places that drain them just to feel accepted. Sigmas? They'd rather be alone and free than surrounded and fake. Psychologically speaking, this behavior aligns with what's called an internal locus of control, a belief that you control your own fate. Studies show that individuals with this mindset are more resilient, less anxious, and more successful in unpredictable environments, and that's why Sigma males stand out. They're not interested in playing roles, they're interested in being real. And when you combine that authenticity with street intelligence and emotional discipline, you don't need to be saved, fixed, or led. You the person others quietly look to when things fall apart. Number 7, you know how to play dumb. Here's a secret weapon most people overlook. The Sigma pretends not to know. He plays dumb so people underestimate him, and when the moment's right, boom, he strikes with precision. This is not just clever, it's strategic psychology at its finest. In the world of street smarts, knowledge isn't always about showing off, it's about knowing to reveal what you know. That's where the Sigma male thrives. He deliberately keeps his cards close to his chest. By pretending not to know, he gains the upper hand. People let their guard down, revealing more than they should, thinking they're the smartest person in the room. But they're not. The Sigma is silently mapping out everything. This tactic isn't just theory. It's rooted in real psychological principles. The concept of has been studied in behavioral science, showing how acting clueless in the right moment can lower expectations and reduce threats from others. It's a principle seen in everything from business negotiations to political power plays. And here's the kicker. Sigma males don't need applause or validation. While alpha males want to dominate and show strength loudly, Sigmas dominate by being underestimated until it's too late. Think of it like chess. The Sigma male sacrifices a pawn, not because he's weak, but because he sees 5 moves ahead. Street-smart Sigmas let others get comfortable. Then, just when the room thinks they've got him figured out, he rearranges the whole game. He doesn't need to speak the loudest, he just makes the smartest move. So next time someone seems a little too quiet, a little too clueless, be careful. You might just be sitting across from a Sigma male, calculating, silent, and about to flip the script. Number 8, street smarts, equal sign, action-oriented intelligence. Book smarts can teach you what should work. Street smarts teach you what does work. This line captures the essence of the Sigma mindset. Being book smart means you've studied the theories, read the manuals, and aced the tests. But being street smart, that means you've been in the trenches, you've lived it, felt it, and learned through real-world trial and error. Sigma males thrive on street smarts. They don't just know the rules, they know when to break them, and more importantly, how to rewrite them. While academics might debate what happened in a perfect system, Sigmas are already 5 steps ahead, adapting to what happens in an imperfect world. Take entrepreneurship, for example. Business schools teach models like SWOT analysis and market segmentation, all useful. But Sigma males, they launch, they fail, they pivot, they learn by doing. They understand that success isn't found in a PowerPoint, it's earned in the hustle. Sigmas don't theorize success, they create it. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They act, adjust, and adapt. When others are busy waiting for permission, Sigmas are already executing Plan B because Plan A didn't quite cut it. And that's okay. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every failure a future asset. This isn't just optimism, it's strategy. Psychologists call this a growth mindset, and it's linked to higher resilience, better problem solving, and long-term success. While others are reading the rule book, the Sigma is rewriting it. Because in a world that's constantly changing, the ability to adapt, think independently, and act boldly isn't just an advantage, it's a superpower. And that's the Sigma edge. Less talk, more doing, less theory, more mastery. Number 9, survival has sharpened you. Let's not sugarcoat it. Life threw you into the deep end, but you didn't sink. You grew gills. A street-smart Sigma male is forged, not born. You've been broke when your pockets echoed louder than your thoughts. You've been betrayed by people you would have taken a bullet for. You've been broken by setbacks that would have crushed most men. But the difference, you weren't built to break. You were built to bend, adapt, and come back smarter. You turned pain into power. Those sleepless nights and silent battles rewired your instincts. You stopped chasing comfort and started chasing clarity. You stopped waiting for someone to save you and realized you were the one you'd been waiting for all along. Street smarts aren't learned from textbooks. They're carved into your character through experience. Psychology tells us that emotional resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, is one of the greatest indicators of long-term success. And Sigma males master this by necessity, not because they want to be tough, but because life gave them no other option. Your scar tissue? That's not just for show, it's armor. Every loss taught you strategy. Every betrayal sharpened your intuition. Every failure gave you the grit that polished your inner diamond. You've walked through fire and didn't just survive, you studied the flames. While others read theories, you lived the lesson. You learned how to read people without a word being spoken, how to predict outcomes without needing a spreadsheet, how to spot manipulation from a mile away. Sigma males like you don't flaunt resilience, they embody it. You're not street smart because it's trendy. You're street smart because the streets were your classroom and pain was your professor. And now you don't fear the storm, you are the storm. Number 10, the ultimate advantage, unpredictability. People fear what they can't predict, and Sigma, you are the definition of unpredictable. No pattern, no formula. One day you're silent, the next day you're unstoppable. It's not chaos, it's calculated mystery. Studies in social psychology show that unpredictability triggers both curiosity and anxiety in others. Why? Because the human brain craves patterns. When it can't decode your next move, it panics. You don't chase power. Power finds you because your independence, detachment, and self-mastery command respect. That's the Sigma edge. You move in silence, strike with precision, and walk away before they even know what hit them. That's the street smart advantage. Sigmas, here's what you need to remember. It's not about where you were born or what school you went to. It's about how you think, how you move, and how you refuse to be boxed in. Street smarts make you resilient. Sigma mentality makes you unstoppable. And when those two forces combine, that's not just an advantage, that's a revolution. So whether you grew up on concrete, chaos, or cold silence, never doubt this. Your experience is your superpower. You weren't made for the sidelines. You were built to own the game. Sigmas, if this resonated with you, smash that like button, subscribe, and become a part of this movement. Because the world needs more men who think differently, move silently, and dominate loudly. Stay true and stay Sigma. He ghosted her after a perfect day, not because he didn't like her, but because he liked his peace more. And that right there is your first clue into the mind of a Sigma male. Ever wonder why Sigma males act so strangely confident, even when nobody's watching? Why they disappear after connection? Why they reject the spotlight? And why solitude seems more attractive to them than social validation? It's not an act. It's not rebellion. It's instinct. A Sigma's behavior isn't calculated to impress. It's wired for. These men operate outside the typical dominance hierarchy, refusing to play the alpha's game or chase the beta's approval. According to personality psychology, Sigma males fall into a rare archetype within the sociosexual hierarchy. Coined by Vox Day, this model outlines alpha, beta, delta, gamma, omega, and sigma, the lone wolf who doesn't seek leadership or followership. He moves alone, yet effortlessly commands respect, and half the time he doesn't even realize he's doing it. Today, we're diving into 8 weird things Sigma males do without even realizing, and the hidden logic behind their unconventional lifestyle. From ghosting without guilt to thriving in silence, these behaviors aren't flaws, they're features of a deeply independent mind. What's up, Sigmas? Welcome back to the place where solitude meets power. This video isn't just another personality breakdown, it's a mirror. If you've ever felt like the world is playing a loud game you didn't sign up for, but you're still winning in silence, this one's for you. Let's unpack 8 oddly specific behaviors Sigma males do without realizing, and why they reveal more about your inner strength than most people will ever understand. Number 1, they disappear, then return like nothing happened. No text, no warning, just vanished. And then boom, he's back like it's a normal Tuesday. To most, this feels like ghosting, a disappearing act. But to a Sigma male, it's something entirely different. It's a tactical withdrawal, a full system reboot. You see, Sigma males operate on a frequency most people don't understand. They're not driven by validation, attention, or external approval. Their internal world is rich, complex, and constantly in motion. When they vanish, they're not avoiding responsibilities or being cold, they're recalibrating. Think of it like a phone that shuts down, not because it's broken, but because it's overheating. That's the Sigma's mind. Too much input, social drama, fake smiles, small talk, overloads the system. Psychologically, this behavior aligns with what's known as introvert restoration. Studies from psychologists like Dr. Laurie Helgo show that introverts, especially those with high independence and analytical thinking, require solitude to process and reset. Sigma males take that to the extreme. They don't just need a break, they do reclaim clarity. And here's the kicker. They don't think it's strange at all. While others might panic about ghosting etiquette or unread messages, the Sigma is in the woods, hiking, meditating, or rebuilding a business plan. Their silence isn't avoidance, it's strategy. Silence to them is sanity. In a world that praises noise and constant connection, Sigma males treat quiet like a sacred ritual. They listen to their inner compass more than any external pressure. When they return, they're not looking for forgiveness or explanations, they're just re-entering their timeline. No drama, no apologies, just presence. This unpredictability is what baffles people, but it's also what makes Sigmas magnetic. Their rhythm is their own, untouched by trends or timelines. So the next time a Sigma disappears, don't take it personally. He's not ghosting you, he's just remembering who he is, without all the noise. And when he comes back, he's sharper, calmer, and more dialed in than ever. Number 2, they stare into space, but they're plotting something. To the average observer, it might look like a Sigma male is zoning out. Blank stare, distant gaze, complete silence. But don't be fooled. What you're witnessing isn't detachment or boredom. Inside that stillness is a full-blown mental operation. This isn't just daydreaming for the sake of fantasy. It's a highly focused, intentional thought process. Sigmas often engage in what psychologists call, while most people might use downtime to scroll, gossip, or complain, Sigmas dive deep into thought. They're visualizing new business models, designing their future lifestyle, calculating their next move, or even rehearsing how they'll handle a potential crisis. It's not escapism, it's strategic planning. In fact, research from the University of British Columbia suggests that mind-wandering, when done deliberately, can enhance problem-solving, creativity, and even emotional regulation. For Sigma males, this kind of mental chess is where they thrive. They're always 10 steps ahead, not because they're paranoid, but because they prefer being prepared in silence rather than being surprised in chaos. Imagine a Sigma walking through a crowded street. He's not just admiring the view, he's analyzing energy, mapping social dynamics, identifying opportunities, and filing away observations. It might look like he's lost in thought, but really he's in control of a highly disciplined mind. That's why many Sigmas are drawn to entrepreneurship, coding, writing, or other solo ventures. These fields reward introspection and give space for their visionary minds to play out plans in detail. While others may need brainstorming sessions or group feedback to think clearly, Sigmas get their clarity in solitude. They are not aloof, they are architects. Architects of futures most people haven't even thought to imagine. They may not always speak their plans aloud, but when they act, it's with precision. That's the power of the internal world they live in. So the next time you see a Sigma lost in thought, remember, he's not spacing out. He's strategizing, he's designing, he's building quietly, efficiently, brilliantly. Number 3, they're brutally honest, then confused why you're offended. A Sigma male will say something that cuts through layers of fluff, and then just stand there, completely unbothered, while everyone else squirms in awkward silence. Why? Because to him it wasn't offensive, it was. Directness is his native language. He doesn't dress his words in layers of politeness or false praise. He speaks in a way that reflects his inner commitment to truth, not to pleasing the room. This doesn't mean he's rude or lacks empathy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. A Sigma male respects people enough to be straightforward with them. He doesn't believe in playing games or sugarcoating reality to avoid discomfort. To him, truth is clarity, and clarity is a form of kindness. The Sigma male operates by an internal code. If it's true, it must be said, even if it's unpopular. This mindset can be traced to their deeply independent nature. They're not ruled by external validation. Unlike alpha males, who often lead through charisma, or beta males, who may seek harmony, Sigmas function outside the social hierarchy. They're guided by principles, not popularity. Psychologically, this behavior reflects traits associated with high openness and low agreeableness. That's not a bad thing. It just means they're more willing to challenge the status quo and less likely to conform for the sake of fitting in. And when someone isn't afraid to tell the uncomfortable truth, it can come off as intimidating to those used to niceties and filters. Imagine a meeting where everyone is politely dancing around a problem. Then the Sigma speaks, "This plan will fail unless we fix X, Y, and Z." Silence. Shock. But he's not trying to cause tension. He's trying to solve the issue with accuracy. In a world overflowing with flattery, distraction, and white lies, the Sigma male's commitment to truth makes him rare. He doesn't use it to dominate or insult. He sees truth as the highest currency, something that must be protected, practiced, and never diluted. So the next time a Sigma male drops a blunt observation, don't mistake it for arrogance. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. And in a society obsessed with comfort, clarity is often the most powerful and feared form of communication. Number 4, they avoid group photos like it's a disease. You'll never catch a Sigma male throwing up peace signs in a big group selfie. While the crowd huddles together shouting, "Say cheese," he's probably standing off to the side near a window, contemplating something far bigger, like the solar system or how fleeting moments really are. This isn't arrogance, it's wiring. Sigma males have an aversion to performative behavior. Public displays for the sake of attention or validation simply don't resonate with them. While extroverted personalities thrive on external affirmation, likes, comments, shares, Sigma males draw their sense of worth from within. It's what psychologists might call doing something because it aligns with one's values, not because it gets applause. This inward focus makes them appear mysterious, even aloof, but really they just don't need to be seen to feel significant. In fact, studies on introversion and self-determination theory show that people with a high level of autonomy and low social dependency tend to be more resistant to peer pressure and less likely to chase approval. Sigma males fit this profile perfectly. They're not antisocial either. That's a common misconception. A Sigma male can enjoy people, conversations, and even meaningful connections. What he avoids is the kind where everyone's trying to outshine each other or prove something to a crowd. His absence from the photo isn't a rejection of others. It's a quiet declaration. I don't need proof I was here. I was. This mindset bleeds into how Sigma males move through life. They rarely overshare. They don't rush to broadcast milestones. Their presence is best felt, not posted. You feel them in the depth of a one-on-one conversation, the precision of their decisions, and the peace that follows them in chaos. So next time you scroll through a group picture and wonder where he went, he's not being rude. He's simply wired differently. He values experiences over appearances, depth over display. And while the group laughs at the 5th retake of the same photo, he's looking out the window, thinking about stars, time, and maybe, just maybe, how small but meaningful this exact moment really is. Number 5, they laugh in high-stress situations. When chaos hits, most panic. Sigmas? They smirk. It's not arrogance, it's mental conditioning. In a world that glorifies loud responses and impulsive decisions, the Sigma male stands apart. When the average person spirals in uncertainty, the Sigma doesn't just stay calm. Why? Because chaos is not unfamiliar territory to him. In fact, it's his training ground. Sigmas thrive in unpredictability because for it. They're the ones who've rehearsed worst-case scenarios in their minds, not out of fear, but out of foresight. Neuroscience supports this behavior. Studies show that people who rehearse adaptive responses to stress through visualization are more likely to remain composed during crises. In simple terms, Sigmas don't wing it. They plan for turbulence like pilots in a storm. That smirk, it's not just confidence, it's a signal. A signal that while others are drowning in emotion, he's already running mental simulations of what to do next. It's the unspoken language of strategic thinking. And here's a fact. The prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for planning and rational thinking, tends to be more active in people who consistently remain calm under pressure. Sigmas, whether consciously or through habit, activate this part like a well-oiled machine. Their calm isn't accidental, it's a lifestyle. They avoid drama not because they're indifferent, but because they know emotional chaos burns energy they could use for action. Sigmas are students of stoicism, whether they realize it or not. Like Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Sigmas internalize this. They understand that remaining centered is a form of power, while others react Sigmas. And that makes all the difference. In boardrooms, breakups, or battles, he doesn't just survive the storm, it. So the next time the world tilts, look for the one who's steady while the rest shake. That's a Sigma. Calm isn't just a reaction. For him, it's the default setting. Number 6, they downplay their achievements to see who's paying attention. While everyone else is broadcasting every small win on social media, posting selfies with motivational quotes, or sharing every gym check-in, Sigma males take a completely different route. They operate in silence, moving with purpose while the world craves attention. Their mindset is deeply rooted in a belief. Sigmas aren't interested in applause, they're interested in results. When they mention they started a business, it's usually in passing, like it's no big deal. No grand announcement, no flashy launch party, just a quiet acknowledgement that they've been building something in the background while others were scrolling. They might casually drop in conversation that they're learning 3 new languages. Not to impress, but because self-development is a personal mission, not a public performance. And here's what's fascinating. This quiet strength is actually a psychological tactic. Sigmas test people this way. They observe who notices the depth beneath the minimalism, who catches the subtle flex hidden beneath the humility. There's science behind this too. According to studies in behavioral psychology, people who underplay their achievements, often called strategic self-presentation, are seen as more competent and trustworthy over time than those who constantly self-promote. Sigmas instinctively understand this. They've mastered the art of being underestimated only to later surprise you with the magnitude of their accomplishments. This doesn't mean they lack ambition, quite the opposite. Sigmas often work harder than most, they just don't feel the need to narrate every step. It's the classic move in silence, let success make the noise mentality. In a world obsessed with validation, the Sigma male is a rare breed, calm, focused, and grounded. He doesn't need to tell you how powerful he is. He lets his actions, his lifestyle, and his energy speak for him. And the truth is, that's what makes him unforgettable. Not because he shouted the loudest, but because he didn't have to. Number 7, they intuitively mistrust loud people. Something about volume and hype sets off Sigma alarm bells. When someone walks into a room yelling, oversharing, or trying too hard to be the center of attention, a Sigma male doesn't get impressed, he gets cautious. To the Sigma, excessive noise isn't a sign of power, it's a red flag. It screams of overcompensation. Psychology even backs this up. Studies show that people who talk loudly or dominate conversations often suffer from low self-esteem or a need for external validation. In contrast, those who are comfortable in silence usually possess inner confidence. Sigmas instinctively pull back when someone is doing too much, not out of arrogance, but because they're scanning for truth beneath the theatrics. They value energy that's controlled, presence that's earned, and words that carry weight, not volume. To them, noise is insecurity dressed up as confidence. This isn't about being rude, it's about being tuned in. Sigma males are observers. They'd rather sit back, listen, and watch how people carry themselves when no one's clapping. They're not impressed by social masks or inflated personalities. They want to know who someone really is beneath the performance. And here's the twist. While others chase attention, Sigmas study intention. They understand that true strength doesn't have to announce itself, it's simply. That's why you'll often find them in the background, silent but aware, watching the loudest person in the room reveal everything without realizing it. For Sigmas, trust isn't handed out just because you speak well or dress loud. Trust is earned in the quiet moments, in the way someone handles silence, disappointment, or being ignored. So next time you see a Sigma staying silent while everyone else fights for the mic, don't confuse that with indifference. He's listening harder than anyone else. And if he senses authenticity in your stillness, you might earn something few ever do, his respect. Because for the Sigma male, still waters run deep. And hype, that's just ripples on the surface. Number 8, they build exit strategies for everything. Dinner plans, they're already mapping out the route to leave early. New job offer, they've already calculated their exit strategy weeks in advance. This isn't them being antisocial, disloyal, or paranoid. It's something deeper. This is how Sigma males operate. They engineer freedom into everything. Sigma males are not impulsive loners. They're strategic thinkers who value autonomy above approval. While others seek comfort in security, Sigmas seek clarity and mobility. Their mind is always calculating the path of least control. They don't want to. They want to ensure they're never trapped in the first place. Think of it this way. Most people make decisions based on what they. Sigmas decide based on what they, especially their time, energy, and emotional independence. So when they accept a job, they don't just look at the salary or perks. They look for how easily they can walk away if the environment turns toxic. When they commit to a relationship, they still preserve their identity and personal space. It's not a lack of loyalty. It's loyalty to their own values first. Psychologically, this mindset aligns with what's called an Sigma males believe their outcomes are shaped by their actions, not the system, not the crowd, and certainly not the rules imposed by others. That's why they resist any structure that demands blind obedience, whether it's corporate politics, social trends, or rigid relationship dynamics. Freedom for a Sigma isn't a one-time rebellion. It's a lifestyle architecture. It's why they avoid emotional debt, why they keep a low profile, and why they seem prepared for exits even before entrances are complete. This may come off as cold or calculating to some, but in reality it's a form of mental discipline. Sigmas aren't just trying to be different. They're trying to remain in control of their destiny. So the next time someone accuses them of being distant or detached, understand this. They're not running away from something. They're protecting the one thing that matters most to them, freedom by design. Here's the deal, Sigmas. These weird little quirks, they're not flaws. They're features. They're the unconscious habits of people who've chosen clarity over clout, solitude over noise, freedom over fitting in. If you see yourself in these behaviors, don't shrink back. Lean in. The world is loud, but real strength moves in silence. And if you're not a Sigma yet, don't worry, these qualities can be cultivated. Start with honesty, add discipline, remove the need to be liked, and build a life so solid, silence is the loudest thing about you. Sigmas, if this video hit home, don't just watch in silence. Like it, subscribe, join this tribe of thinkers, builders, and quiet disruptors. Let's keep evolving and keep doing it our way. Stay true and stay Sigma. Sigma, you've been underestimated for far too long. Why does your silence make the loudest noise in every room? Because intelligence in the hands of a Sigma male isn't just rare, it's dangerous. Today we're diving deep into why the intelligence of Sigma males is not just impressive, it's downright terrifying. And why society, relationships, and even other men often don't know how to handle it. Sigmas, welcome back to the place where being misunderstood is your superpower. The world sees your quietness as a void, but it's actually packed with analysis, foresight, and psychological precision. You're not quiet because you lack words. You're quiet because you're calculating which ones are worth speaking. While others speak to be heard, you observe to understand. That's not just smart, it's tactical. Research in behavioral psychology has shown that highly intelligent individuals often display signs of introversion, independent thinking, and deep focus. 3 traits Sigma males embody naturally. You don't follow the herd. You question it, dissect it, and if necessary, walk alone without flinching. What terrifies people isn't just your intellect. It's the fact that you combine it with unpredictability. You don't chase approval, you don't seek validation, and because you're self-sufficient, people can't control you. That's what truly shakes them. You don't reveal your strategy, but you always have one. Your intelligence is a silent weapon, calm on the surface, but lethal in execution. In this video, we'll explore how your mental sharpness influences every area of life, from decision-making to relationships to how you handle adversity. We're going to uncover why your presence changes the dynamic of every room you enter, because nothing about you is random. Let's go deep. Point 1, Sigma males. Think in systems, not in stereotypes. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up, scroll through their phones, go to jobs they tolerate, interact on a superficial level, and react emotionally to anything that disrupts their routine. But Sigma males, they operate on a completely different frequency. Instead of coasting through life, they reverse engineer reality. A Sigma male is not interested in blindly following the crowd. He doesn't just in society, it. Where others react impulsively, he observes, reflects, and calculates. Social dynamics. He doesn't just participate in them, he studies them like a chessboard. Every conversation, every power play, every silent glance is data to a Sigma. While others worry about popularity, a Sigma decodes the rules of the game and quietly works on rewriting them. In business, Sigmas tend to see opportunities others miss. They look beyond the product and ask, what's the business model? Who controls the supply chain? Where is the leverage? Many great entrepreneurs and innovators, like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, exhibited Sigma-like traits. They didn't play by the traditional rules. They studied systems, broke them apart, and rebuilt them on their own terms. Socially, Sigma males are the wild cards. They're not obsessed with fitting into any group or social hierarchy. While others are busy networking to climb the ladder, a Sigma is observing who built the ladder in the first place and deciding whether it's even worth climbing. That's what makes them unpredictable. And in a world driven by predictability and routine, unpredictability is power. People fear what they can't anticipate, and it goes deeper. Sigma males don't gossip because surface-level noise is irrelevant to someone tuned into long-term patterns. They're the type who remember your tone, not just your words. They notice what's said in a conversation. They aren't trying to be liked, they're trying to understand. While the world is on autopilot, the Sigma male is designing the flight path. That's not just rebellion, it's strategic detachment. And in today's complex world, thinking like a Sigma isn't just different, it's an advantage. Point 2, they observe everything, speak when it matters. Sigmas are hyper-observant by nature. They don't just glance around a room, they scan, assess, decode. While most people are busy reacting, Sigmas are studying. They watch body language, tone shifts, facial expressions, micro-movements, all the subtle cues others miss. But here's the thing, this observation isn't rooted in judgment. It's about understanding motives, identifying weaknesses, and spotting potential threats or opportunities. It's intellectual warfare, quiet, tactical, and always intentional. This is why Sigma males often dominate without trying. They operate in a world of strategic restraint. When they speak, people go silent, not because they're flashy or aggressive, but because their words carry weight. In a society drowning in noise, constant opinions, endless chatter, and emotional outbursts, Sigma intelligence feels like a scalpel. Clean, precise, disarming. Neuroscience supports this kind of observational power. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that individuals who practice intentional silence and deep observation tend to show heightened activity in areas of the brain linked to pattern recognition and critical thinking. Sigmas use this to their advantage. They let others exhaust themselves with surface-level debates. Then, when the moment is right, they speak. One sentence, one idea, and it cuts through the noise like a blade through fog. You've probably seen this play out in meetings or social settings. The Sigma is quiet for 40 minutes. People mistake the silence for disinterest. But then, out of nowhere, he says something that completely dismantles the main argument. Not emotionally, but logically, strategically. That's the Sigma advantage. It's not just about being quiet, it's about being quiet. This terrifies people, especially those who thrive on performance and external validation. Because Sigma males don't play by those rules. They don't need applause. They don't seek approval. They speak only when it matters, and that ironically gives their voice even more power. So next time a Sigma sits silently in the corner, understand this. He's not disconnected. He's just 10 steps ahead, waiting for the right moment to strike with truth, clarity, and precision. Point 3. Sigma males intellectually intimidate without trying. You don't try to flex, but your natural independence and insight intimidate those who thrive on group validation. And that's not arrogance, it's alignment. See, Sigma males operate on a wavelength most people don't even tune into. While society is busy sorting people into alphas who lead and betas who follow, the Sigma walks his own path, quietly rewriting the rules. Let's break it down. Unlike the alpha who thrives in the spotlight or the beta who leans on direction, the Sigma thrives in solitude. He doesn't chase applause or permission. He thinks, he calculates, and then he moves with purpose. In psychology, this is linked to a strong internal locus of control, meaning Sigma males believe they are responsible for the outcomes in their lives, not luck, not people, not external forces. And that mindset is, in relationships, Sigmas don't need constant reassurance. They're not emotionally detached. They're emotionally self-sufficient. This makes them mysterious to some and intimidating to others. A woman used to men who seek validation might feel confused when the Sigma isn't constantly trying to prove his worth. But here's the kicker. His worth. That's rare. That's attractive. That's dangerous. At work, Sigmas often rise in unconventional ways. They don't play office politics. They don't try to outshine others. They just focus on the goal. Quiet competence often leads them to leadership roles, not because they demand control, but because people naturally trust their judgment. History has examples. Think of Keanu Reeves, introverted yet admired, or Steve Jobs, who rejected social norms to build something extraordinary. And here's what really shatters the alpha versus beta narrative. Sigmas win without being part of the pack. In a society addicted to groupthink and social climbing, someone who walks alone and still wins, that's unsettling. But it's also inspiring. You don't bark, you don't beg, you build. And when you speak, your results do the talking. That's not noise, that's Sigma. Point 4. You see the hidden patterns in human behavior. People lie, but patterns don't. That's the terrifying truth Sigma males live by. While most people get distracted by charm, words, or emotions, the Sigma male studies not just behaviors, but inconsistencies in tone, facial expressions, timing, and reactions. Think of him as a quiet observer in the room who doesn't speak much. But when he does, it's as if he's been reading your mind the entire time. Now here's what makes that scary to manipulators. Sigma males aren't interested in surface-level appearances. They cut through the noise and spot red flags that others ignore. It's not magic, it's psychology. Studies in behavioral science confirm that people tend to show micro-expressions when lying or hiding something. These tiny, involuntary facial movements often reveal true feelings, and Sigma males have a knack for spotting them, often without even realizing it. For example, while someone is crafting a sob story to gain sympathy, the Sigma male is watching their eyes, their hands, their pauses. Did the story change slightly each time? Did their emotions spike too quickly, then vanish just as fast? That's a pattern, and it doesn't lie. That's why manipulators absolutely Sigma males. Manipulators thrive when their targets crave approval, attention, or social validation. But the Sigma male, he doesn't need your approval. He's not emotionally reactive. He observes, calculates, and then makes his move or leaves entirely. You don't even realize you've been found out until it's too late. And while others are emotionally entangled in a manipulator's web, the Sigma male is already 5 moves ahead. He's strategizing. He's removing your influence quietly, coldly, and permanently. That's terrifying to those who rely on control, because control only works on those who don't see it coming. So remember this, people lie. Words deceive, emotions can be faked, but patterns never lie, and a Sigma male never misses them. Point 5, emotional control is your superpower. Sigma intelligence isn't just about having a high IQ or knowing random facts, it's about mastering emotional discipline. While others react impulsively, Sigma males respond with calculated precision. You don't lash out, you calculate. You don't panic, you position. That's what sets you apart in a chaotic world. You're not emotionally unavailable, you're emotionally in control. And that control, it intimidates people who thrive on emotional chaos. Let's face it, Most people expect reactions. They poke, provoke, and push just to get a rise out of you. But when they come at you with drama, you treat it like spam mail, marked as irrelevant, instantly deleted and never acknowledged. That silence? It's not weakness, it's power. It's the unnerving calm before the next smart move you're already planning. Science backs this up. According to studies in emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman's work being the most well-known, people who can regulate their emotions tend to be better leaders, more strategic thinkers, and are more resilient under pressure. Sigma males naturally operate in this space. You're not just thinking logically, you're emotionally optimized. When the world goes into meltdown mode, you're the calm in the storm. You're the guy sipping coffee, observing the chaos, while quietly orchestrating your next move like a grandmaster in a chess match. Others may see this as cold, but it's actually clarity. You're not frozen, you're focused. And that unnerves people who are addicted to emotional noise. Let's not forget the funny side of it all. While everyone's venting on group chats or having mini meltdowns over nothing, you're somewhere minding your business like your Wi-Fi only connects to peace. You ghost drama like it's a phishing email. Why engage in pointless conflict when you could invest that energy into leveling up? This is why Sigma males are often seen as mysterious, intimidating, or even emotionless, but make no mistake, it's not that you don't feel, it's that you how and when to feel. And that level of self-mastery, that's what makes your intelligence not just rare, but absolutely terrifying to the average person. In a world that's constantly trying to trigger you, your calm is the real chaos. Point 6. Sigma males learn fast and adapt faster. You're the type who can learn a skill, master it in weeks and move on. Why? Because your brain isn't wired for passive absorption. It's designed for. You don't just read manuals or memorize steps. You. That's how mastery is born. This approach is known as a proven method backed by neuroscience. When you actively apply a new skill, whether it's coding a software script, sketching a human face, or setting up a makeshift shelter, your brain forms deeper, long-lasting connections. It's the same reason apprentices in ancient guilds learned faster than students in lecture halls. They learned not just by listening, but here's the twist. You're not doing it to compete. You're not obsessed with winning the game. You're obsessed with. Most people try to get ahead by following rules. You study the rules, dissect them, and then quietly start crafting your own. This is what makes you dangerous. You're not a player. You're a designer. And it doesn't matter what field it is, tech, art, psychology, survival. Your mind treats each new challenge like a software update. You download the knowledge, patch the weaknesses, optimize the system, and then on to the next level. This, the ability to adapt, reason, and problem solve in real time, is rare. According to psychological studies, most people rely on things they've already memorized or learned, but not you. You live in motion, you thrive in unfamiliar territory. This kind of mental agility freaks people out. Why? Because most folks live on autopilot. They wake up, do the same things, follow the same steps, and expect different results. Meanwhile, you're upgrading, evolving, moving forward like you're running a silent operating system no one else has. It's not arrogance, it's instinct. You've always known you were built differently. You're not here to follow the manual. You're here to write a new one. Point 7. You don't need validation. You validate yourself. While the world chases likes, followers, and applause, the Sigma male is mastering solitude and growing in silence. This one stings for many because it challenges everything society tells you to value. You see, we live in a validation economy. Social media platforms are built on metrics that reward external approval, thumbs up, hearts, shares, and endless notifications. Most people are addicted to this feedback loop. Their sense of worth rises and falls with every comment, every view, every like. But the Sigma male, he unplugged from that game a long time ago. He's not motivated by attention. He's motivated by mastery. The Sigma male thrives in solitude, not because he's antisocial, but because he understands the power of internal growth. While others are busy curating perfect versions of themselves for online approval, the Sigma is building skills, stacking knowledge, and refining his purpose in silence. He's not shouting about his grind, he's grinding in the shadows. This kind of self-validation is often mistaken for arrogance. People ask, why doesn't he care what we think? But it's not arrogance, it's resilience. He has trained himself not to approval, and when a man no longer fears rejection or craves validation, he becomes something rare and dangerous. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation. The drive to do something for its own sake, not for a reward. It's what fuels top athletes, inventors, and leaders. And it's what makes the Sigma male nearly untouchable. He doesn't crumble under criticism, he doesn't bend to pressure. He's immune to flattery and indifferent to insult. That's terrifying to a world built on conformity. When someone can walk away from praise and still be whole, society doesn't know what to do with him. That's why people label him mysterious, aloof, or even arrogant. But the truth is, he's just free. And freedom, real freedom, is what makes him unstoppable. Point 8. You can walk away from anything and mean it. You don't stay where you're not respected. That's not pride. That's principle. And here's the thing, very few people have the strength to act on that principle. Most will stay hoping things will change, but not you. You recognize that staying in a space where your value is questioned is a silent betrayal of your worth. The terrifying part, you don't just talk about walking away, you follow through. You don't give second, third, or fourth chances just to keep the peace. You don't announce it. You don't beg to be seen. You disappear quietly, cleanly, and completely. And when you vanish, your absence isn't just noticed, it echoes, it stings. Because while others rely on loud voices and dramatic exits to get attention, your silence says everything. This level of detachment isn't rooted in coldness, it's rooted in intelligence. You understand that true self-respect involves knowing where you're welcome and where you're merely tolerated. Psychological studies show that people with higher emotional intelligence are more likely to walk away from toxic situations because they value their mental and emotional health over temporary connection. And that scares people. Why? Because society conditions us to cling, to prove, to explain. But when you operate from a place of inner clarity, you flip the script. You don't chase validation, you carry self-worth. You don't fear being alone, you fear being disrespected. This boundary isn't just personal, it's powerful. It teaches others that your time, energy, and presence are not free for abuse. And make no mistake, your absence will be more powerful than most people's presence. That's because people are used to others sticking around, even when they're mistreated. But you choose peace over proximity, and that decision radiates a kind of power that can't be faked. So no, it's not arrogance. It's alignment. You're not being dramatic, you're being decisive. And in a world that often rewards those who settle, your refusal to compromise on your worth becomes revolutionary. Here's the truth, Sigmas. Your intelligence isn't terrifying because of what you know. It's terrifying because of how you it, silently, strategically, and with unwavering discipline. Sigma males operate outside the traditional social hierarchy. They don't crave validation or attention, which is exactly why people notice them. This quiet intensity creates an aura of mystery. You're not loud, but your presence speaks volumes. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is powerful, calculated, not empty. People feel uneasy not because you intimidate them, but because you unknowingly expose their need for external approval. You're not in the game to impress. You're in it to master yourself. That's what makes you dangerous. This is the Sigma way: independence over conformity, logic over emotion, and mastery over mediocrity. If even one part of this hit home, like subscribe and join this tribe of thinkers, doers, and quiet disruptors. This is your space. Stay sharp, stay real, and stay Sigma. When a Sigma enters the room, evil gets nervous. Why? Because Sigma males carry a presence that disrupts the status quo. They're the type of men who don't seek approval, don't follow the herd, and don't bow to corrupt systems. And that independence, it terrifies evil. You see, darkness thrives in silence, in manipulation, in people who are too afraid to speak truth. But Sigma males, they expose lies just by being real. Their quiet strength, emotional self-control, and laser-focused mindset challenge the forces that rely on confusion and conformity to survive. Sigma males don't crave power, they it. Not through domination, but through discipline. Scientific studies show that people who operate with high emotional intelligence and low social dependence often score higher in personal integrity and leadership under pressure. That's the Sigma blueprint. They walk alone, but not aimlessly. Their mission is guided by values, not trends. While others are distracted by noise, Sigmas see clearly. That clarity makes them immune to deception, and that's why evil panics. From history's revolutionaries to today's silent disruptors, Sigma energy has always been a threat to darkness. Whether it's standing up for truth in a corrupt system, refusing to follow a toxic culture, or simply choosing purpose over popularity, Sigma males dismantle evil not by shouting, but by showing a better way. And that's why evil trembles when they walk in, because Sigmas don't just resist evil, they render it powerless. Number one, Sigmas operate outside the system, and that terrifies evil. Evil thrives in systems, but Sigma males, they break the mold. Let's unpack that. Throughout history, every form of deep-rooted corruption has worn a mask, whether it's corporate greed hidden behind polished boardrooms, political lies cloaked in patriotic speeches, or social manipulation sugar-coated as just following the rules. Evil doesn't often kick in the door. It fills out paperwork, shakes hands, and hides behind procedures. This is why Sigma males are so dangerous to corrupt systems. A Sigma male doesn't rely on the approval of a boss, a government, or society's validation. He's not chasing status in the traditional sense. Unlike alpha males who dominate the hierarchy or beta males who submit to it, Sigma males walk alone, autonomous, self-governed, and immune to peer pressure. And that independence makes them incorruptible. Because they're not entangled in the web of the system, you can't silence them with promotions, perks, or promises. You can't frighten them with threats of exile because they've already chosen the road less traveled. They aren't driven by crowd applause, they're driven by inner conviction. Think of whistleblowers like Edward Snowden or maverick minds like Elon Musk when he goes against conventional norms. These are examples of people who operate outside traditional structures, challenge the status quo, and change the game. Sigma males don't just reject broken systems, they expose them. But here's the twist. Sigma males don't seek rebellion for the thrill, they seek truth. When rules are unjust, they don't comply. When authority is corrupt, they don't bow, they question. Their weapon is awareness, and their armor is self-reliance. And the one thing evil can't survive: exposure. So when a Sigma male enters the picture, systems that rely on ignorance, control, and blind obedience start to panic, because Sigmas don't play the game, they redefine it. In a world where evil thrives in silence and complicity, Sigma males are the static in the signal, the disruption the system never prepared for. They aren't rebels without a cause, they are guardians of truth in a world addicted to lies, and that, more than anything, is why they can't be tamed. Number two, Sigmas possess an inner moral compass, unshakable and unbought. While others flip-flop based on popularity, trends, or fear of rejection, Sigma males stand firm. These men are not driven by external validation or the need to fit into society's ever-shifting molds. Instead, they operate on a deeply internalized moral code, etched into their soul like fire into steel. This code isn't trendy and it isn't negotiable. It doesn't bend. It doesn't waver. Psychologically speaking, Sigmas exhibit high levels of a concept in motivational psychology that describes people who are guided by their values rather than external pressures. This makes them less susceptible to groupthink or manipulation. In fact, studies in behavioral science have shown that people with a high degree of internal motivation are more likely to act ethically, even when no one's watching. That's what makes Sigmas unique. Their actions are not for show, they are the natural result of deep conviction. And in a world where many blur the lines between right and wrong for convenience, Sigmas serve as a walking spotlight. They naturally expose hypocrisy, lies, and injustice, not by attacking, but simply by being who they are. Evil thrives in ambiguity. It loves confusion, distraction, and moral compromise. It wants the world to be gray, murky, and blurred. But then a Sigma walks in like a lighthouse, cutting through the fog with clarity. Their life becomes their message. Their silence becomes a statement louder than any protest. They don't need to shout. Their very presence speaks volumes. It can make a liar choke on his words and cause manipulators to retreat without a single confrontation. This kind of unwavering integrity is dangerous, not to the good, but to every force that survives on deceit and illusion. To those who feed on lies, Sigmas are a threat because they are immune to the seduction of falsehood. They won't play the game, and that's precisely why they're so rare and so powerful. Their moral compass doesn't just guide them, it shakes the world around them. They don't conform to the chaos. They confront it by standing still when others run, by being light in a dark room. In a world hungry for authenticity, Sigma males are not just different, They are necessary. Number 3, sigmas use silence as a weapon. Have you ever seen someone fall apart, not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't? That's the silent storm of the Sigma male. Unlike others who shout to be heard or argue to prove a point, the Sigma male wields silence like a weapon. It's not passive, it's intentional. Think of it as a scalpel, precise, clean, and devastating when used correctly. In psychology, this is known as strategic silence. It's often used in conflict resolution and negotiation to disarm aggression or force reflection. Sigmas intuitively understand that words can be twisted, but silence? Silence makes people wrestle with their own conscience. It forces the manipulative and the deceitful to sit alone with their lies, without the comfort of an argument to distract them. Evil, toxic, and attention-seeking people feed on emotional reactions. They crave drama, conflict, and chaos. The Sigma doesn't just refuse to play the game, he flips the board by walking away. And that, ironically, is more powerful than shouting ever could be. In fact, neuroscience backs this up. Silence has been shown to activate the brain's default mode network, a region associated with self-reflection and insight. When a Sigma male withdraws, it actually makes others start thinking deeper. That's when guilt, shame, or realization hits hard. Sigmas understand that presence can be more unsettling than pressure. That not reacting is sometimes the most unnerving reaction of all. When someone expects a fight and gets silence instead, their own words echo back at them. And often that's enough to break them. So no, it's not magic, it's psychological warfare, quiet, calculated, and effective. This is why Sigmas aren't just lone wolves. They're also masters of restraint. In a world full of noise, they choose the high road of stillness, not because they're weak, but because they're powerful enough not to need validation. Sometimes the most powerful destruction isn't a punch, it's presence. And the Sigma male? He walks into a room with the kind of presence that can dismantle egos without lifting a finger. That's not just silence, that's dominance without a sound. Number 4, Sigmas have mastered emotional detachment. Evil manipulates emotions, guilt, shame, anger, fear. It uses them all like puppeteer strings. These emotions are some of the oldest tools of control in human history. From toxic relationships to corrupt leaders, those who seek power often prey on our deepest vulnerabilities. Guilt makes you question your worth. Shame isolates you. Anger blinds your judgment. And fear keeps you stuck. But try pulling those strings on a Sigma male and you'll find nothing to grasp. Why? Because Sigmas have done what few dare to do. They've faced themselves. They've confronted their inner demons, not run from them. They've sat in silence with their pain, dissected their past, and emerged with a fierce sense of emotional independence. Psychology calls this emotional regulation, the ability to understand and manage your feelings without being hijacked by them. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being unshakable. You can't guilt trip someone who no longer fears rejection. Rejection only stings when you're craving validation. But Sigmas walk a different path. They don't need the crowd's applause to feel worthy. They've learned that self-respect is far more valuable than social approval. This mindset makes manipulation nearly impossible. When someone tries to use guilt as a weapon, the Sigma simply doesn't absorb it. They see it for what it is, control disguised as concern. You can't shame someone who doesn't seek approval. Shame feeds off your desire to fit in. But Sigmas don't live to impress anyone. Their standards come from within, not from societal expectations or peer pressure. When you remove the power of external judgment, shame loses its grip. And you definitely can't control someone who's comfortable walking alone. Most people fear solitude because it forces them to face themselves. But Sigmas embrace it. They thrive in their own company. That's what makes them so dangerous to manipulators. They can't be lured with promises of belonging, nor can they be threatened with isolation. In a world where emotional strings are constantly being pulled, the Sigma male moves like a ghost, untouchable, unreadable, and free. They don't just reject manipulation, they're immune to it. Not because they're cold or uncaring, but because they've chosen truth over illusion, freedom over fear. Number 5, Sigmas reflect truth like a mirror, and evil hates its own reflection. When evil looks at a Sigma male, it's like a vampire staring into the sun. Why? Because a Sigma embodies everything that darkness can't stand: authenticity, integrity, and unwavering resilience. While the world may be full of people playing roles, wearing masks, and shifting with every passing trend, the Sigma stands firm. He's not trying to impress, dominate, or fit in. And that kind of raw truth burns lies like fire. Evil thrives in shadows, in deception and manipulation, but a Sigma's presence alone becomes a mirror that reflects truth, and for those living in denial, that mirror is unbearable. It exposes insecurities without a single word. It rattles fragile egos. Why? Because Sigmas don't rely on external validation. They don't bend or bow for approval. That unnerves those whose identity is built on illusion. Psychologically speaking, authenticity is a rare and powerful trait. Studies in personality psychology show that people who live authentically tend to have higher self-esteem, stronger mental health, and more consistent behavior patterns. Sigma males operate in this zone by default. They value solitude not because they're antisocial, but because solitude preserves their clarity and energy. They don't waste time maintaining a fake image, and they're not afraid of walking alone to protect their truth. And here's the real kicker. They don't even try to challenge others. There are no dramatic speeches, no calls to arms. Their existence itself is the message. Their calm defiance, their focused independence, and their refusal to play by corrupt rules all create a silent rebellion. That's why evil fears the Sigma, because in a world that rewards conformity, the Sigma refuses to be controlled. His light doesn't just shine, it blinds. So when evil looks into the eyes of a Sigma, it sees its own expiration date. And that's the kind of fear you can't fake. Number 6, Sigmas never seek revenge. They let karma handle it. There's a twisted kind of evil in this world that doesn't just want to harm you, it wants to you. It feeds off retaliation. It thrives when you lose control, when you get dragged into the mud, when you start reacting instead of responding. Its goal is simple: make you stoop to its level, fight dirty, burn bridges, sabotage yourself. But Sigma males, they're built differently. A Sigma male doesn't take the bait. When insulted, betrayed, or provoked, he doesn't explode or chase revenge. He simply walks away. And that's not weakness, it's strategy. He knows that the real power lies in detachment. In a world where everyone is reacting on impulse, his silence is deafening. This mindset is rooted in something deeper: discipline. Psychologically, self-discipline is linked to increased emotional intelligence, stronger mental health, and better long-term success. Studies from institutions like Stanford and Harvard show that those who practice self-restraint, those who delay gratification, tend to outperform others across the board. For a Sigma, walking away isn't about fear, it's about focus. He knows energy is precious and he refuses to waste it on battles that don't matter. While others are busy getting revenge, Sigmas are building, growing, leveling up. And here's the irony: the higher a Sigma climbs, the more that evil crumbles under its own weight, trying to bring him down. Because evil thrives on chaos, but Sigma thrives on clarity. They don't fight back with fists or fury, they let life do the striking. The universe has a funny way of balancing the scales. And Sigmas understand that timing and patience often win the war better than brute force ever could. That's what makes them so dangerous. Not because they're violent, but because they're disciplined. And in a chaotic world fueled by impulse, discipline is not just a strength, it's a weapon. Number 7, Sigmas inspire others to wake up, and that's evil's worst nightmare. Here's the part that really sends shivers down evil's spine. Sigma males awaken people, not by shouting, not by demanding change, but by being an example. A Sigma male doesn't preach, he doesn't need a microphone or a crowd to validate him. He simply lives in truth. And that truth is louder than any speech. Whether he's walking away from drama, refusing to conform, or choosing purpose over popularity, he radiates a quiet power that can't be ignored. Why is that so dangerous to evil? Because one man living in truth exposes 1,000 lies. Studies in behavioral psychology confirm that individuals often model their behavior after what they observe. This is called. When people see someone who doesn't follow the herd and still thrives, it shakes their assumptions. It forces them to look in the mirror. That's the Sigma effect. His silent confidence becomes contagious. His discipline makes others reevaluate their own lazy habits. His emotional detachment from toxic relationships forces others to question the fakeness they tolerate in their lives. It challenges people to level up, Suddenly, their fake friends don't feel as funny. Their toxic jobs feel unbearable. Their distractions lose their flavor. People begin to wake up. They start searching for meaning, for purpose, for truth. And when do people start waking up? Evil starts losing its grip, because evil thrives in chaos, confusion, and conformity. It feeds off the masses staying numb, distracted, and insecure. But when even one Sigma male walks into the room with clarity, peace, and purpose, it disturbs the system. The most powerful revolutions don't start with noise, they begin with silence. With a man who dares to live free in a world built on control. That's why the presence of a Sigma male is not just inspiring, it's revolutionary. He doesn't just walk alone, he leads others to freedom by doing it first, and that right there is what evil fears the most. Number 8, Sigmas don't just resist evil, they outgrow it. One of the most fascinating things about Sigma males is how they handle conflict, especially when it comes to battling negativity or evil in their lives. Unlike many who get stuck in the same struggles or fights over and over, Sigmas are masters of evolution. They don't waste energy constantly clashing head-on with problems. They grow beyond them. This isn't just a personality quirk, it's a strategic approach to life. Psychologically speaking, this ability to evolve past recurring battles is linked to emotional intelligence and self-mastery. When you continuously fight the same fight, it keeps you trapped in a cycle of stress and frustration. Sigma males break free by shifting their focus inward, working on their mindset, habits, and goals. As a result, the evil, whether that's toxic people, negative thoughts, or harmful situations, becomes smaller and smaller, fading into the distance. This is supported by studies on resilience and mindset. People who develop what's called a growth mindset see challenges not as obstacles to be battled indefinitely, but as opportunities to grow and transcend. Sigmas embody this mindset naturally. Instead of seeking revenge or exerting power to control their environment, they seek freedom, the freedom to live without being shackled by ongoing conflict. In fact, one of the most powerful ways to overcome darkness is to simply stop acknowledging it. When you stop giving energy to negativity, it loses its hold. This is the ultimate flex, not through brute force, but through mastery of the self. Freedom from struggle means you are no longer a player in the game of chaos. You're operating on a higher level entirely. That's why Sigmas don't just fight evil, they rise above it. And in that rise, they become unstoppable. So let's tie this all together, Sigmas. Evil is loud, always desperate for attention, noise, and chaos. Sigma, silent and steady. Evil twists and manipulates to gain control, but Sigma is sovereign, fully owning himself. Evil craves power over others, while Sigma's power comes from inner mastery. You don't fight darkness by becoming dark. You fight it by anchoring yourself in truth, integrity, and self-awareness. When you stand firmly in your authentic self, evil can't help but wither away in your presence. You're the lone wolf, the outsider, the misunderstood mind, a living threat to everything fake and false. That's how you destroy evil, not with force, but with unwavering truth. Sigmas, embody this mindset and watch yourself rise above all negativity. Stay true. Stay Sigma.